Chapter 1239. For Jing Xiaolu's forbearance, Yang Ming showed considerable appreciation. However, Yang Ming did not have much resistance to Jing Xiaolu's past behavior. After all, once upon a time, he was just like Jing Xiaolu. He was a little punk who mingled in the underworld. He wished that no one would come to pick a fight with him all day long. When he encountered such a situation, he naturally would not let it go. Now, Yang Ming had matured. For such a person, he would just laugh it off. The bald young man saw Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu sitting at the ordinary table on the side, and he was unspeakably proud. When his girlfriend, Little Red, came over, he couldn't help but say, "How is it? Am I good?" "Too good. This couple swing is not often available," Little Red said excitedly. "Hey, there were two idiots just now. They were going to sit here, but I beat them to it." The bald young man pointed to Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming over there. "That's them. These two cowards don't even dare to fart. I really don't know if that man has guts." Because of Yang Ming's forbearance, the bald young man was even more unscrupulous. In his opinion, Yang Ming did not say anything, and now he did not dare to say anything. "That woman is quite good-looking. It's a waste to follow this man," Little Red said after listening, and she also thought so. She cast an admiring look at the bald young man. Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu were not sitting far away. They naturally heard the conversation between the bald young man and Little Red clearly. His forbearance was said to be a coward. This made Yang Ming not know whether to cry or laugh. He frowned. Jing Xiaolu really couldn't help it. Yang Ming is a coward? What a joke. Yang Ming's indifference made her even angrier. Previously in the school cafeteria, Yang Ming splashed porridge on her face, but here he was pretending to be a good guy. Jing Xiaolu couldn't stand it. She slammed the table and stared at the bald young man and Little Red over there. "Hey, pay attention to what you say. I don't want to argue with you. Do you really think you are a dish? Oh. So it's a pretty boy, asking a woman to stand up for him. You really don't have guts." Not only did Jing Xiaolu's angry rebuke not frighten the bald youth, but it made him even more arrogant. In his opinion, Yang Ming was indeed a complete softy. He was so soft-hearted that he let a woman stand up for him. Jing Xiaolu was so angry that she trembled. She picked up a sundae on the table and threw it at the bald young man's head. However, the bald young man reacted quickly and dodged with a smile. "How is it? Brother's skill is not bad, right?" Yang Ming originally did not want to bother with this person, but seeing that this guy was really asking for a beating, he said indifferently, "Xiaolu, this is not how you throw things." As he said, he picked up a piece of chicken bone that Jing Xiaolu had just eaten from the table and threw it at the bald young man casually. The bald young man did not care. Instead, he looked at Yang Ming contemptuously. "What can this piece of chicken bone do?" I thought that Yang Ming would burst into a fight. It turns out that he is still a coward who only knows how to play some small tricks. Seeing Yang Ming raise his hand, the bald young man subconsciously tilted his head to the side, just like when he dodged Jing Xiaolu's sundae. Unfortunately, he couldn't dodge this chicken bone. With a "pa" sound, it hit his left eyeball, causing him to see stars. The pain was so excruciating that he wanted to die. He covered his eye and cried out, "Ao Ao." Yang Ming naturally grasped his strength. Otherwise, with Yang Ming's usual strength, the bald young man's left eye would definitely be disabled. And Yang Ming did not have any deep hatred with him, so he only punished him slightly. Just when the bald young man dodged the sundae thrown by Jing Xiaolu, Yang Ming had already mastered the speed and direction of the bald young man's evasion. Generally speaking, people who were not professionally trained would instinctively dodge to the left or right when they were trying to avoid the attack of a foreign object. Moreover, the strength and speed of the dodge would be roughly the same. After all, this was an instinctive reaction. It was a subconscious habit, not deliberately cultivated. The bald young man's reaction was the same as most people's. He subconsciously dodged to the right. This was the same reaction of all right-handed people. Left-handed people were generally an exception. Of course, Yang Ming, an assassin who had undergone strict professional training, was also an exception. Yang Ming could randomly choose the direction to dodge and adjust the speed of the dodge according to the direction of the unknown object. Therefore, Yang Ming knew the direction and speed of the bald young man's evasion. He also knew the speed of the chicken bone. He also had the special ability to accurately estimate the distance between himself and the bald young man. As a result, Yang Ming only needed to predict the trajectory of the bald young man's movements in advance, then he could accurately hit the bald young man's left eyeball. Jing Xiaolu was very surprised. She clearly saw that the bald young man had already dodged, but he was still hit by Yang Ming. However, no matter what, she had vented her anger. Yang Ming was still the same Yang Ming. Although he was calmer than before, he would not let others bully his woman, right? Jing Xiaolu felt good about herself and upgraded herself to Yang Ming's woman. She smiled happily. Although the bald young man was not a big shot, he often went to entertainment venues such as disco bars. He must have fought a lot. Therefore, when Yang Ming made a move, the bald young man knew that he really met a master today. He was hit with such a small piece of chicken bone, and the strength was so strong. The bald young man was not a fool. He knew that he had made a mistake today. He quickly lowered his head and did not dare to say anything more. The woman named Xiao Hong saw that her boyfriend was beaten, and she was a little angry. However, when she saw that her boyfriend did not dare to say anything, she also knew that they could not afford to provoke the other party. The bald young man was a guy who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Xiao Hong was very clear. In fact, little punks like them also had this character. They bullied the weak and feared the strong. If they were stronger than them, they would nod and bow. If they were not as strong as them, they would trample on them. Hey! Accompany me with a cup of sundae. Jing Xiaolu used to be a member of the underworld. Naturally, she saw that the bald young man was timid. She was excited. After thinking about it, she felt that she should get back some face. Yang Ming listened to Jing Xiaolu's words, and he was a little dumbfounded. Sure enough, this little girl still held a grudge. In the school cafeteria, I asked Jing Xiaolu's boyfriend to compensate me with a tray of buns. Now, Jing Xiaolu actually used this trick to deal with others. However, because this was learned from Yang Ming really couldn't stop it, and he couldn't say anything to Jing Xiaolu. Xiao Hong was obviously a little unhappy with Jing Xiaolu's request, but the bald young man stood up with a trace of resentment in his eyes. He walked to the bar and bought a cup of sundae for Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu. He then put it on Jing Xiaolu's table. Although he was extremely unhappy in his heart, he had a characteristic of people like him. That was, he knew when to yield and when not to yield. No matter how unhappy he was, he had to pretend to be a dog and a cat and endure it. The bald young man could endure it, but Xiao Hong couldn't help it. She secretly took out her mobile phone, typed a message, and sent it out. Gu Xinyao was entangled with Bai Hai at the moment. Her mobile phone rang with a text message. Gu Xinyao reluctantly took the mobile phone and read the message on it. What's the matter? Asked Bai Hai. He was on the night shift in the community today. Logically, as the manager of the security department, he didn't have to be on the night shift. There were other security guards on duty outside. However, Gu Xinyao came today, and Bai Hai had a separate duty room, so he stayed and spent some alone time with Gu Xinyao. He could also get some overtime pay. A friend who used to play with you often went to your previous place. She encountered some trouble and wanted me to help her settle it. Gu Xinyao explained, don't bother about her. Oh. Look for you? Why is she looking for you? Asked Bai Hai. I promised her before to look after her, but now we don't work in that place anymore. Why should I care about her? Explained Gu Xinyao. Brother Yang said that a person must be trustworthy. You promised her. Naturally, you have to help. At least help once is considered helping. Bai Hai said, let's do this. I will take a few people and go with you to see what is going on. If I can help, I will help. That's the best. Gu Ximiao didn't go initially because she was afraid that Bai Hai would be unwilling. Since Bai Hai said so, Gu Ximiao naturally wouldn't refuse. She held Bai Hai's face and kissed him. Thank you. What are you thanking me for? The two of us will follow Yang Ming for the rest of our lives. Brother Yang is most annoyed by people who go back on their words. So, if you don't want to find trouble for yourself in the future, remember not to make promises easily. After Bai Hai became the manager of the security department, he also matured a lot and was no longer as impetuous as before. Xiao Hong's heart was also drumming. She didn't know if Gu Ximiao would still keep her promise after asking for help for such a long time. She heard that Gu Ximiao's man was no longer working in that place, but he was a security manager in a high-end luxury residential area. He earned tens of thousands of yuan a month. Now, it was unknown whether Gu Ximiao's man would still pay attention to her. Until Gu Ximiao replied with a text message saying that she would come over immediately, Xiao Hong was relieved. She couldn't help but feel a little proud. It seems that I am still quite useful. I can call someone over just by sending a text message. She prayed in her heart that Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu ate slowly. Otherwise, if they left, it would be a waste of effort. Fortunately, Jing Xiaolu also hoped to get along with Yang Ming for a while, so Jing Xiaolu ate very slowly and chewed slowly. However, as a girl, she ate slowly. Yang Ming was not suspicious. It didn't take long for Bai Hai to drive his broken van and stop in front of the KFC seaside store. Is that Brother Yang's car? Gu Ximiao's eyes were sharp. She saw the BMW X5 with the license plate number Song B88 parked in the parking space not far away. Bai Hai listened to Gu Ximiao's words and quickly looked over. When he saw that it was indeed Yang Ming's car, he was shocked. Brother Yang is also eating here? Could it be that Xiao Hong and Brother Yang have a conflict? Gu Ximiao said subconsciously. It can't be, right? That's troublesome. We can't manage this matter. Bai Hai was also shocked and said. Let's go in and take a look. Gu Ximiao could only take one step at a time. Gu Ximiao and Bai Hai entered KFC. Xiao Hong's eyes had been looking in the direction of KFC's entrance. When she saw that Gu Ximiao and Bai Hai came together, she was overjoyed. She quickly reached out and greeted, Sister Ximiao, Brother Hai, here. When Bai Hai and Gu Ximiao saw Xiao Hong, they also saw Yang Ming not far from Xiao Hong's table, and it was actually Jing Xiaolu. This made Gu Ximiao very surprised. It was so late. Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu were eating KFC together at the beach. This couldn't help but explain the problem. It was impossible to say that the two had nothing to do with each other. Gu Ximiao secretly clicked her tongue. This Jing Xiaolu really dared to think and do it. But she really did it. Seeing that the two were still close, Gu Ximiao was really happy for Jing Xiaolu. When he heard Xiao Hong calling Sister Ximiao and Brother Hai, Yang Ming didn't react. However, Jing Xiaolu was with Gu Ximiao all day long. She also called Gu Ximiao as Sister Ximiao and Bai Hai as Brother Hai, so Jing Xiaolu subconsciously raised her head and looked in the direction of the door. She really saw Gu Ximiao and Bai Hai. However, when she saw Gu Ximiao's ambiguous gaze, Jing Xiaolu's face subconsciously blushed. After all, she and Yang Ming were still outside so late at night. It was hard to guarantee that no one would association. Bai Hai also admired Jing Xiaolu very much. He didn't expect Jing Xiaolu, who used to be a delinquent girl, to become a phoenix. However, when he saw Jing Xiaolu's current temperament, Bai Hai had to sigh. Jing Xiaolu had really changed. She had changed too much. She was a completely different person from the past. Fortunately, Jing Xiaolu was dressed like a ghost at that time. Bai Hai was not interested in her, so he didn't touch her. Otherwise, she would be in trouble now. Sister Xinyao, it's them. They bullied me. Xiao Hong didn't notice the gazes of Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai. She pointed at Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu and said proudly. Huh? Jing Xiaolu was a little dumbfounded and stunned. However, it was more of nostalgia for the past. Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai were actually people that Xiao Hong found? Seeing Xiao Hong's appearance, Jing Xiaolu suddenly thought of herself in the past. At that time, when she saw Sister Xinyao and Bai Hai, wasn't she so arrogant in front of Yang Ming? Now, it was her turn to be in Chen Mingyan's perspective. Xiao Hong became her former self. Yang Ming also found Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai standing at the door at this time. He looked at Xiao Hong, who was shouting loudly, and then looked at Jing Xiaolu. He couldn't help but smile slightly. Jing Xiaolu naturally knew that Yang Ming also remembered the past. She was a little embarrassed and lowered her head. Little Bai, Xinyao, you two are here too. Let's eat together. Yang Ming waved to Bai Hai and Gu Xinyao and pointed to the seat next to him. Yang Ming's sudden words made Xiao Hong and the bald young man slightly stunned. The bald young man also knew Bai Hai and Gu Xinyao. He knew that they were very popular, but when he heard Yang Ming calling them, Yang Ming also knows them? And he seems to be very familiar with them? What Xiao Hong and the bald young man didn't expect was that Bai Hai and Gu Xinyao's faces showed a flattered look. They carefully walked to Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu's side. Brother Yang, you are also here. Bai Hai said respectfully. Gu Xinyao also quickly glared at Xiao Hong and said, why aren't you greeting Brother Yang? This is your brother Hai's boss. Xiao Hong and the bald young man listened to Gu Xinyao's words and realized that they met a ruthless person today. They were so scared that they quickly stood up. This time, they didn't dare to be arrogant. Gu Xinyao wouldn't lie to them, and Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai's respectful appearance wasn't fake. Brother Yang. I'm sorry. Xiao Hong's smile was very ugly. She didn't expect that things would turn out like this. She wanted to teach others a lesson, but the result was self-defeating. Forget it. It's nothing. Yang Ming waved his hand. He didn't want to bother with them. It didn't make any sense, but he still smiled and looked at Jing Xiaolu. He meant, look at them. Don't they look like you in the past? Jing Xiaolu felt uncomfortable being stared at by Yang Ming. She couldn't help but feel wronged. I have changed for a long time. I'm not like that for a long time. Looking at the wronged and spoiled Jing Xiaolu, Bai Hai and Gu Xinyao were even more shocked. In their memory, Jing Xiaolu didn't seem to have such an action, right? Seeing that Yang Ming said nothing, the bald young man and Xiao Hong both breathed a sigh of relief. Sister Xinyao, Brother Hai, you sit here and eat. We are done eating. We have to go. Brother Yang, sister-in-law, I'm really sorry. Don't take it to heart. When the two left KFC, the bald young man glared at Xiao Hong. Why are you so meddlesome? Are you okay now? Originally, it would have been over if we just endured it. Why did you have to find a scene? Look, how can we trouble Brother Hai and Sister Xinyao in the future? Xiao Hong didn't expect things to turn out like this. She lowered her head and looked like she had done something wrong. As for Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai, how could they have the heart to blame them? After listening to Jing Xiaolu's story, Gu Xinyao also smiled and said, it turned out to be like this. But, why does this process sound so familiar? Sister Xinyao, you are also making fun of me. Humph. Jing Xiaolu was really embarrassed by Gu Xinyao's words. She wanted to bury her head under the table. Gu Xinyao was just joking. She didn't continue to talk about it. She and Bai Hai ordered some food and quickly ate 2 mouthfuls. They made an excuse that they were going to watch a movie and left first. They didn't want to stay here and be a third wheel. Brother Yang, Xiaolu, Bai Hai and I are going to watch a movie. We heard that there is a new movie in the 3D cinema not far away. Let's go and see it. After quickly eating the burger in front of her, Gu Xinyao said to Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu. Oh. What movie? Jing Xiaolu naturally wanted to be alone with Yang Ming, but after eating, Yang Ming would probably send her back to the hotel. In order to be able to spend more time with Yang Ming, Jing Xiaolu heard that Gu Xinyao was going to watch a movie. She also hoped that she could go with Yang Ming. Chapter 1240. It seems to be the Ice Age, right? Gu Xinyao doesn't know if it is. She just casually found an excuse, but she didn't expect Jing Xiaolu to ask about it. The third one? Jing Xiaolu continued to ask. Probably. Gu Xinyao wasn't sure if it was. I want to watch it, too. Let's go together. Jing Xiaolu said after listening. However, she thought that she should ask for Yang Ming's opinion, so she turned her head and begged Yang Ming, I want to watch a movie, then let's watch it. Yang Ming wanted to say that she, Gu Xinyao, and Bai Hai could watch it. He would go back to school first, but he was interrupted by Jing Xiaolu halfway through his words. You are so nice. Jing Xiaolu quickly hugged Yang Ming's neck and kissed his face. Then, she quickly let go. Then let's go. Yang Ming touched his face that was kissed by Jing Xiaolu. He was a little helpless. This trick again? He shook his head with a bitter smile and said, Aren't we not done eating yet? Then, let's go to the cinema to eat. Jing Xiaolu didn't give Yang Ming a chance to regret. She stood up and quickly ran to the bar. She asked for a plastic bag and packed the food on the table. Looking at the intimate actions of Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming, Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai were even more convinced. They thought that Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming were already together. They sighed in their hearts that Jing Xiaolu was really not simple. The receipt also won 5 yuan. I'm really lucky. When Jing Xiaolu came back, she waved the 5 yuan bill in her hand and showed off to Yang Ming. Yang Ming smiled. Jing Xiaolu was still very meticulous in her calculations. Although Yang Ming would ask for a receipt every time he ate, sometimes he often forgot to scratch the lottery. After all, Yang Ming's daily affairs were very complicated. These subtle things were often overlooked. The 4 people went out of KFC together and came to the parking lot. They got into their respective cars. Jing Xiaolu still jumped into the driver's seat first. Yang Ming was also happy to let Jing Xiaolu drive. As for Jing Xiaolu's driving, Gu Xinyao was a bit baffled. She hadn't seen Jing Xiaolu for a few days, but she didn't expect Jing Xiaolu to have changed so much. Not only did she learn to drive, but she also walked with Yang Ming. Xiaolu is quite lucky. For her, this is a very good home. Gu Xinyao sighed as she sat in the car. Yeah, I really didn't expect this. Bai Hai also nodded and said, but this kind of thing, we don't have to be envious. Compared to the days before when we were just eating and waiting for death, I think it's very good now. In the past few months, I have saved tens of thousands of yuan in savings. After you graduate, I think we can buy a house. Yeah. I really didn't expect that we would have such a beautiful future. Gu Xinyao nodded happily. Let's go. Accompany Brother Yang to watch a movie. It will be bad if we don't act out the Ice Age. Bai Hai smiled and said, I'll see how you explain it then. Jing Xiaolu had been to the large cinema that Gu Xinyao mentioned before, but she had never been there. Going to the cinema to watch a movie was a very extravagant behavior for Jing Xiaolu in the past. No matter what I say, it's useless. You only know how to play tricks. You pulled me to watch a movie. What's the purpose? Yang Ming didn't want Jing Xiaolu to lose face in front of Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai, so he reprimanded Jing Xiaolu after they got in the car. Nothing. I just suddenly didn't want to go to bed so early. I wanted to walk around. Right, I will help you continue to analyze your relationship with the girl you have a crush on. How is it? What happened after you gave the gift last time? Jing Xiaolu changed the topic. For Jing Xiaolu's words, Yang Ming was a little dumbfounded. However, when it came to Zhao Ying, Yang Ming really wanted to ask Jing Xiaolu what to do next. They couldn't be in a stalemate, right? Let's talk about it later when we watch the movie. Yang Ming glanced at Jing Xiaolu and said, "You drive slower. Bai Hai's car can't keep up." Jing Xiaolu glanced at the rearview mirror. Sure enough, Bai Hai was following behind with difficulty. He stepped on the accelerator loudly, but the speed couldn't increase. It wasn't his fault. How could a minivan that was almost scrapped catch up with a BMW off-road vehicle? Therefore, Jing Xiaolu didn't feel that she was fast, but Bai Hai couldn't catch up. "I have money now. I really need to buy a good car. It's too troublesome." Bai Hai stepped on the accelerator until his foot hurt. When he saw that Jing Xiaolu finally slowed down, he breathed a sigh of relief. "Come on. You should save your money for your wedding." Gu Xinyao didn't want Bai Hai to spend money indiscriminately. "Isn't your car good? What's wrong with driving slower? It won't be easy to have an accident." "I don't have to worry about it." Bai Hai listened to Gu Xinyao's nagging and laughed twice. Indeed, with his current economic level, it was unrealistic to buy a car. "I'm just saying that my money isn't enough to buy a house. What's the point of buying a car? This is a public car. Although it's a little broken, I'll just make do with it." Once he stepped on the accelerator, the wind leaked out. This was Bai Hai's Songhua River minivan that was almost scrapped, but it was unusually warm. This night was destined to be a restless night. Yang Ming's phone rang again. It was an unfamiliar phone call. Yang Ming hesitated slightly. It was so late at night. Yang Ming was somewhat baffled by an unfamiliar phone call. However, this was a Songjiang local phone number. Yang Ming picked it up. "Hello, who is this?" "Mr. Yang, I'm Victoria." Victoria spoke Chinese. Since this secret had been exposed by Yang Ming, she didn't need to hide it anymore. "Victoria?" Yang Ming immediately understood that this must be the phone number that Victoria had just bought. "What's the matter?" "Alice just left the room and took the elevator downstairs. She may want to go out. Do you want me to follow her?" Victoria said hurriedly. She was afraid that if she delayed, Alice would run away. The reason why Victoria always paid attention to Alice's movements was that when they were on the boat, Victoria got the order from Yang Ming to pay attention to Victoria's movements. After returning to Songjiang and staying in the hotel, although Yang Ming didn't specifically explain it, Victoria still consciously shouldered this heavy responsibility. When she found that Alice had left the room and walked to the elevator, Victoria immediately reported to Yang Ming. Because Yang Ming had previously instructed that all 3 meals were delivered to the room, there was no need for Alice to go downstairs. Even if Alice went down to buy something, she didn't have to go out of the hotel. She just had to wear the pajamas provided in the room. There was no need to dress formally. Because of this, Victoria speculated that Alice was going out. "Follow her. Be careful. Don't be discovered by her." Yang Ming was slightly stunned, and quickly instructed, "Contact me at any time if there is anything. You have money in your hands, right?" "Yes." Victoria said, "The money you gave me before, in addition to letting the hotel people help me buy a camera and a mobile phone, I still have a lot left." Victoria got Yang Ming's approval. After quickly disguising herself, she ran out of the room with the camera. Victoria didn't choose to take the elevator, but ran to the emergency stairs. There were many people going up and down the hotel. The elevator had to make a short stop at almost every floor, so if she was lucky, she would be faster than Alice taking the elevator if she took the emergency stairs. Sure enough, when Victoria rushed to the first floor, the elevator was still on the 4th floor. Guests might be coming and going. In order not to attract Alice's attention, Victoria didn't wait in the hotel lobby. Instead, she went straight out of the hotel and got into a taxi at the entrance of the hotel. "Madam, where are you going?" asked the taxi driver. "Wait a minute. I will tell you in a while," Victoria said faintly, staring at the hotel. The people who came out of the Songjiang International Hotel were either rich or noble, so the taxi driver didn't dare to ask much. Anyway, these people definitely wouldn't cheat on the fare. After a while, Alice walked out of the hotel door. At this moment, Alice was wearing a pair of big sunglasses that covered almost half of her face. If she wasn't very familiar with people, she wouldn't be able to recognize her at all. Victoria had been paying attention to Alice's movements, otherwise, she wouldn't immediately recognize that the person in front of her was Alice. After Alice left the hotel, she got into a taxi behind Victoria. The car slowly started and drove to the intersection on the right front. Follow the car in front. Victoria pointed to the car that Alice was in and said to the driver. Okay. The driver started the car and didn't ask much. Seeing that Alice's dress was very fashionable, and she was very careful when she acted, the driver naturally imagined that Alice was the mistress, and Victoria was the wife who caught the adulterer. Alice naturally didn't expect that Victoria would follow her behind. It was already past 1:00 in the middle of the night. Victoria should have fallen asleep long ago. After receiving a call from her brother, Alice didn't think much and left the hotel. The meeting place was a high-end coffee shop. Yang Ming was slightly disappointed when he learned about it afterward. Yang Ming had long known that Alice had a problem. He didn't expose her because he wanted to use her to lure out the person behind her. However, it seemed that the person behind Alice was not stupid. He just asked Alice to go to a public coffee shop, not a private residence. After Alice entered the coffee shop, she talked to the waiter in the coffee shop and was taken to the second floor. Victoria also followed into the coffee shop. The waiter at the entrance of the coffee shop immediately greeted her warmly. "Madam, are you alone? The lady who just came in went to the private room upstairs?" Victoria didn't answer the waiter's question but asked directly. The waiter nodded subconsciously. "Madam, what can I do for you? Which private room did she go to?" Victoria continued to ask. "Sorry, we can't say this casually. Do you know the lady just now?" The waiter asked with some vigilance. "I am a bodyguard hired by her parents. I am responsible for protecting her secretly," Victoria said with a flash of inspiration. "Ah. I see." The waiter was stunned. He didn't expect that this kind of common plot in movies would happen in reality, so he said, "Then I will take you up. Just give me a private room next to hers. I am secretly protecting her. She doesn't know." Victoria explained. "That's good." The waiter saw that Victoria was telling the truth, so he believed it. He took her to the second floor and led her into an empty private room. Then, he pointed to the next room on the right. "The lady entered this private room, okay, thank you." Victoria took out 200 yuan bills and gave them to the waiter. "You can go out now." What do you want?" The waiter took the bills from Victoria. He didn't know what she wanted, and Victoria didn't say anything. "I don't need anything," Victoria said faintly. "Then this money?" The waiter pointed to the bills in his hand. "Take it as a tip for you." Victoria waved her hand and signaled that the waiter could go out. "Oh, thank you." The waiter left the room and thought, this bodyguard is really strange. She is different from ordinary people. She came here without eating or drinking. She secretly protects her master. It is really hard. However, I got 200 yuan for free. It is really unexpected. After the waiter went out, Victoria locked the door of the room and carefully put her ear to the wall of the private room. However, she could only hear a little movement. She couldn't hear what was said in the private room next to her. This made Victoria somewhat disappointed. The soundproofing of this coffee shop was too good. She took out the phone and reported to Yang Ming. When Yang Ming saw that it was Victoria's call, he immediately picked it up. "How is it?" "I followed her to a coffee shop. I am now in the private room next to Alice, but I can't hear what the other party is saying," Victoria reported. "Investigate who she is meeting with. It is best to take a picture. Yang Ming thought about it and said, if you really can't do it, then forget it. Don't expose yourself and alert the enemy. There is no hurry. I understand. Don't worry. Victoria responded. Jing Xiaolu also found that Yang Ming seemed to be very busy tonight, and he said some words that were difficult to understand. When Yang Ming hung up the phone, Jing Xiaolu asked with concern, how is it? Is everything okay? How about, we don't go? Let's talk about it another day. Hearing Jing Xiaolu say this, Yang Ming felt a little embarrassed. It could be seen that Jing Xiaolu should be very happy and looking forward to tonight, so he said, it's nothing. Let's go. Jing Xiaolu drove the car, but Yang Ming's thoughts fell on Alice. If the things that happened to him after he obtained the special ability were to be put together, it would be, he used his special ability to participate in the school's mock exam and got a very good result. His relationship with Chen Mengyan was close, which caused Wang Jitao to hate him. He tricked him to go to his hotel and set a trap for him. He made him a rapist and entered the detention center. In the detention center, he met Bao Sanli and also formed a hatred with Yu Xiangde. In addition, he met his master, Fang Tian, and his senior, Dong Jun. He thought that this time, he would definitely go to jail. He didn't expect things to turn around. Lin Jiyun actually came forward to admit that she was his girlfriend, and the case was closed. He had also regained his freedom. This was the first time that someone was clearly targeting him. However, Wang Jitao was already dead, and Wang Shifan was also in jail. So in theory, the person who had been targeting him couldn't be Wang Jitao's family, but someone else. Then, who was it that was targeting him? If it was traced back to the first inexplicable situation, it should be when I lost a piece of jade in Yunnan. However, I found the existence of this piece of jade in Lan Ling's suitcase with my special ability. Shortly after, this piece of jade disappeared inexplicably. Did Lan Ling steal my jade? Yang Ming naturally didn't believe it. Although his contact with Lan Ling wasn't long, Yang Ming understood Lan Ling's character very well. Lan Ling wasn't a greedy person. Otherwise, with her sixth sense, it wouldn't be difficult for her to make a fortune. There was no need to steal a piece of jade from him. Of course, these were secondary. The reason why Yang Ming directly denied that Lan Ling was the person who stole the jade was that when he was choosing the jade, he told Lan Ling that this piece of jade would be made into a necklace for Lan Ling as a gift. At that time, Lan Ling refused. If Lan Ling wanted this piece of jade, there was no need to steal it. She could just ask for it directly. Yang Ming didn't pay attention to this incident at the beginning, but after thinking about it, it should be that some people didn't want him to have any connection with Lan Ling, so they deliberately created a conflict between him and Lan Ling. But unfortunately, after Yang Ming found the jade in Lan Ling's suitcase, he didn't announce it. He didn't open the suitcase to check, and he didn't tell Lan Ling, Zhang Jifeng, and Zhang Bin. Maybe the person who really stole the jade saw that his plan didn't succeed, so he simply took the jade away. However, Yang Ming couldn't figure it out. What kind of person could have such magical means to steal the jade, put it in Lan Ling's suitcase, and then take it out of the suitcase without him knowing? What kind of skill did he have to be to do this? Although Yang Ming's kung fu at that time wasn't as powerful as it was now, and his alertness to the outside world wasn't as high, but now that he thought about it, this person who stole the jade was quite powerful. After this incident, there was no clue. Now that he thought about it, it was very suspicious. Could it be done by Elder Yu's people? But why wouldn't Elder Yu want me to be with Lan Ling? At that time, Yang Ming hadn't captured Chen Afi yet, so he didn't bring any losses to Elder Yu. After this incident, the second conspiracy against him could be said to be Wang Jitao's family. Although there wasn't a big conspiracy, there were a lot of small conspiracies. However, these were now ignored by Yang Ming because they were no longer enemies. Chapter 1241. However, when this piece of jade appeared again, it was at Lu Weishan's birthday banquet. It was given to Lu Weishan by Yun Guangdou as a birthday gift. Yun Guangdo was later confirmed to be Elder Yu's person. There was no doubt about this. In other words, the person who stole the jade must have a close relationship with Elder Yu's people. But as for why they targeted Yang Ming to break up the relationship between Yang Ming and Lan Ling, it was unknown. This was also what Yang Ming couldn't figure out. Is there some connection between Elder Yu and the mysterious boss who is always targeting me? Or, are these two people simply the same person? The possibility of a connection was higher, but the possibility of them being the same person was relatively small. These two people may be in a group, or it may be a cooperation of interests. Now, Yang Ming could only speculate like this. As for Yun Guangdo's subordinates who used voodoo to assassinate him, Ong Ming initially thought that it was done by Elder Yu. However, after the inquiry of Ma Xiaoyao, the guard of Red Flag High School, Uncle Ma, Yun Guangdo sent someone to assassinate Yang Ming. It was entirely to vent his anger. There was no necessary relationship with Elder Yu. This was a bit dramatic. However, Yang Ming believed that the real reason for the hatred between him and Elder Yu was that he caught Chen Afu and destroyed his so-called sinister voodoo. This made Elder Yu hate him to the core. This was also the reason why Lan Ling sent Zhang Jishan to protect him. Including the attack on Zhang Bin and the jewelry company, the investigation showed that Yun Guangdo did it secretly. The enmity between Yang Ming and Yun Guangdo was probably entirely because of Sun Jie. However, for Yang Ming, Yun Guangdo really couldn't be considered a big opponent. Compared with Elder Yu and the mysterious boss behind the scenes, Yun Guangdo was far worse. However, when Yun Guangdo was ruthless, he almost took Yang Ming's life. If it weren't for Uncle Ma Xiaoyao's timely treatment, perhaps Yang Ming would directly go back to the past to pursue beauty. As for the fat and thin guys, He Shu and Feng Dao, as well as the fight in Hong Kong, the appearance of Wu Ming, the conspiracy against Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan to destroy the brake system, and so on, now it seemed that there was nothing. These people were Wang Xiaoyan's subordinates, and now they had become his subordinates. These people targeting him was because he had nothing to do at the airport. When he first obtained the special ability, he saw the weapon in their bag, which was why he had enmity with them of the small matter. Not to mention the small conflicts in the middle. The first time he fought with the behind-the-scenes boss people should be in Macau when he met Wang Xiaoyan. However, the strange thing was that the behind-the-scenes boss was actually targeting Wang Xiaoyan, not him. He could say that he happened to save Wang Xiaoyan by accident. Then, he followed the clues and knew the existence of the behind-the-scenes boss. Is it because I interfered with the behind-the-scenes boss to assassinate Wang Xiaoyan that he has enmity with me? However, Yang Ming didn't feel like it. He always felt that the behind-the-scenes boss seemed to be targeting him. Although the behind-the-scenes boss also sent a man of sacrifice to break into Wang Xiaoyan's villa at night with the intention of killing Wang Xiaoyan, Yang Ming was also in Wang Xiaoyan's villa at that time. Yang Ming wasn't sure whether the behind-the-scenes boss was targeting him or Wang Xiaoyan, or who was the master and who was the subordinate. The plot of the behind-the-scenes boss didn't succeed, but it could be said that Yang Ming also failed this time because he didn't get any valuable information from the mouth of this man of sacrifice. Yang Ming tried his best, but he couldn't do anything to this man of sacrifice because she was a person without thoughts. No matter how Yang Ming treated her, she was indifferent. In the end, even if she committed suicide in front of him, he didn't get anything valuable. Behind this man of sacrifice, there was no shadow of the behind-the-scenes boss. Yang Ming wasn't sure, but his guess wasn't far from the truth. Yang Ming also classified this fight as the second official fight with the behind-the-scenes boss. The third time could be said to be the jewelry exhibition. Previously, Yang Ming was still very puzzled why the Jewelry Association would give all the rights to the Mingyang Security Company. Now it seemed that the behind-the-scenes boss bribed the senior management of the association and then performed a good show of stealing treasures in the middle of the night. However, this also indirectly showed that the behind-the-scenes boss had strong connections and financial support. The jewelry that he put in the exhibition were all priceless rare treasures. If they were really stolen, it would be strange if Yang Ming didn't go bankrupt. Yang Ming also got some very valuable clues from the captured black-shirt man. That was, after the black-shirt man stole the treasures, he would go to Macau to find Jing Xiaoping. This was a crucial clue. It also indirectly proved that the black-shirt man and Jing Xiaoping were in cahoots. They must belong to the same behind-the-scenes boss. The only valuable thing on him was the cell phone, but this cell phone was encrypted. He didn't know if Zhou Jiejia had cracked it. She probably hadn't cracked it yet. If she cracked it, Zhou Jiejia would contact him immediately. However, in this third fight, there were obviously traces of targeting Yang Ming. The jewelry exhibition and the Ming Yang Security Company had nothing to do with Wang Xiaoyan. In the end, the only person who was harmed was Yang Ming himself. This made Yang Ming somewhat puzzled. However, the behind-the-scenes boss would never have thought that Tian Long's son, Tian Donghua, was a very loyal person. He told his father, Tian Long's conspiracy in advance to Yang Ming. In fact, even if he didn't tell Yang Ming wouldn't be easily tricked. After being tricked by Wang Jitao once, would Yang Ming still be able to easily eat and drink unfamiliar things? As for other possibilities, with Yang Ming's vigilance, Tian Long couldn't succeed. Most likely, the behind-the-scenes boss was also holding an attitude of giving it a try. After sorting out his thoughts, although there was still some confusion, Yang Ming had already made some conclusions. Between Elder Yu and the behind-the-scenes boss, there should be a relationship of interest and cooperation. Elder Yu wanted to target me, so it was definitely not wrong. First, it was because I ruined his cultivation. Second, it was also because of the special relationship between me and Lan Ling. However, the style of doing things these times was obviously the style of the behind-the-scenes boss, not the style of Elder Yu. So for a while, Yang Ming couldn't figure out how he had offended the behind-the-scenes boss. It seemed that he didn't have any interest to offend others. Yang Ming, what are you thinking about? Jing Xiaolu parked the car in front of the cinema and saw Yang Ming in a daze alone there. She felt a little strange and called him. Oh. Yang Ming recovered from his thoughts and looked at Jing Xiaolu next to him. He suddenly had a very solid feeling. A calm night without those disputes made Yang Ming feel that it was very rare. Originally, he still had some resistance to going to the cinema with Jing Xiaolu, but when he thought that he had to worry about the Sun family and the Sui family after tomorrow, Yang Ming suddenly felt that he should cherish the calmness now. Bai Hai and Jing Xiaolu also parked the car. The security guard in the parking lot found it hard to imagine that the people in the two cars were actually a group. One was a BMW X5 with an awesome license plate number, and the other was a tattered minivan that was almost scrapped. After the people in the two cars got off, they did walk together again. Looking at their expressions, they seemed to be very familiar with each other. Yang Ming and Bai Hai stood aside. Gu Xinyao took Jing Xiaolu to buy the movie tickets. Gu Xinyao was really stunned. The movie in the cinema was really Ice Age. Jing Xiaolu wanted to pay, but Gu Xinyao rushed to pay. She could still afford to spend this money. In front of Yang Ming, how could Gu Xinyao let Jing Xiaolu buy the tickets? Let me do it. It's not easy for you and Brother Hai. I am working now. Jing Xiaolu said with some embarrassment. In the past, wasn't it Sister Xinyao who treated you? Gu Xinyao smiled and said, your salary should be left for your grandmother to see the doctor. Seeing that Gu Xinyao said this, Jing Xiaolu no longer insisted. After buying the tickets, she waved to Yang Ming and Bai Hai. The four of them entered the cinema together. After they went in and cut the tickets, Yang Ming knew that Gu Xinyao bought a couple's ticket. It was a small booth for two people. Obviously, Gu Xinyao misunderstood the relationship between Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu. Yang Ming had no choice. He couldn't explain anything in front of Gu Xinyao, and he couldn't change the tickets. He could only sit in the couple's booth with Jing Xiaolu. Fortunately, the space in this booth was very large, so the two people wouldn't squeeze together. Do you want Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai to continue to misunderstand? Yang Ming glanced at Jing Xiaolu. She has always misunderstood. I can't help it. Jing Xiaolu shrugged. You don't want to explain to them now, right? That will make me lose face. Explain what? Yang Ming said, I'm too lazy to explain. Jing Xiaolu just chuckled. You seem to have something on your mind. What's the matter? Can you tell me? Jing Xiaolu also noticed that Yang Ming was a little uneasy today. This was not the usual Yang Ming. Yang Ming answered a few calls. Jing Xiaolu felt that Yang Ming had something important to say. On the one hand, it was also out of curiosity. On the other hand, Jing Xiaolu also wanted to help Yang Ming share some of the pressure. It was best to help him come up with ideas. She could also impress Yang Ming. Do you really want to hear it? Yang Ming turned his head and looked at Jing Xiaolu's clear eyes. It didn't seem to be fake, so he asked. Well, I know. I may not be able to help you much, but if you tell me, maybe I can give you some advice. Jing Xiaolu nodded seriously. In fact, there are a lot of secrets on me. What I usually do is also very dangerous. Yang Ming sighed slightly. Although I can protect myself, I still don't have the ability to protect the women around me from harm. Speaking of this, Yang Ming smiled a little self-deprecatingly. Am I very useless? No. Jing Xiaolu didn't expect Yang Ming to suddenly say this. I think it's a blessing to be your woman. I'm telling the truth. I swear. Yang Ming looked at Jing Xiaolu's appearance and was somewhat helpless. He naturally knew that Jing Xiaolu was telling the truth, but Jing Xiaolu didn't really get involved in Yang Ming's circle. When she really got involved, she would know the danger. For example, Wang Kejin came to assassinate Yang Ming and his girlfriend. If they didn't carry out the assassination together, if it wasn't Wang Xiaoyan but Yang Ming's other girlfriends, they would probably be dead. Therefore, because of this, Yang Ming would have these feelings. The reason why Yang Ming said this to Jing Xiaolu was because he thought of those things in the car before. He felt a lot of emotions and had a lot of doubts in his heart. It was very uncomfortable to keep it in his heart, but he couldn't find the right person to talk to. In the past, when Yang Ming encountered difficulties at this time, he would go to Sun Jia for advice, but now Sun Jia was under house arrest by Tian Long. Moreover, Sun Jia was a very strong woman. Even if she was not under house arrest, Yang Ming did not want to show weakness in front of her. In addition to Sun Jia, Wang Xiaoyan, and Suya, who was far away, Jing Xiaolu was probably the person who knew the most about him. If I said that you are in danger of being assassinated at any time when you are with me, would you still be like this? Yang Ming asked suddenly. Jing Xiaolu was slightly shocked. Her little hand couldn't help but cover her mouth. Being assassinated? This was a problem that Jing Xiaolu had never thought about. These things were really too far away from Jing Xiaolu's life. When Yang Ming suddenly asked, Jing Xiaolu was a little stunned. You are kidding. Jing Xiaolu laughed twice. Even if you don't like me, there is no need to scare me. I'm not scaring you. I'm telling the truth. Yang Ming took a deep breath and said solemnly, my opponent is far more ferocious than you think. He wants to kill me. The couple's booth was soundproof. When Yang Ming said these words, he also paid attention to the movements on both sides of the booth. Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai were whispering to each other. Naturally, they did not pay attention to the situation between Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu. There was no one in the booth on the other side, so Yang Ming said so much to Jing Xiaolu. On the one hand, he wanted to find someone to talk to. On the other hand, he also wanted Jing Xiaolu to understand that it was actually very dangerous to be with him. Jing Xiaolu covered her mouth and widened her eyes. She looked at Yang Ming in surprise for a long time. She seemed to be digesting the news. After a long time, Jing Xiaolu said 3 words, I'm not afraid. For Jing Xiaolu's answer, Yang Ming really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said so much, but in return, Jing Xiaolu said, I'm not afraid. However, Yang Ming was really moved by Jing Xiaolu's persistence. A girl could be so infatuated, which showed that she did not treat this relationship with a purpose. Originally, Yang Ming thought that Jing Xiaolu wanted to be with him and even wanted him to support her. It was entirely because of the worship of strength and the temptation of money. After all, Yang Ming's previous impression of Jing Xiaolu was that she was a girl who loved vanity. In fact, although Jing Xiaolu could be said to have a feeling of love at first sight for Yang Ming, she initially had some purpose. But now, Jing Xiaolu found that Yang Ming had a charm of another personality, which attracted her and made her unable to extricate herself. Do you want to hear my story? Yang Ming looked at Jing Xiaolu and sighed slightly. I really need someone to give me advice about the clues that I just sorted out. Undoubtedly, Jing Xiaolu is the best choice now. Chapter 1242. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Jing Xiaolu's heart couldn't help but skip a beat. Yang Ming wants to tell me about his matters? Doesn't that mean that Yang Ming regards me as a very important person around him? Although Jing Xiaolu also knew very well in her heart that Yang Ming probably regarded her as a friend who could confide in him at this moment. Or to put it more closely, it was a confidant. There was still a gap between that level of relationship that had not been crossed. Yang Ming's question made Jing Xiaolu somewhat unsure of how to answer. She naturally wanted to hear Yang Ming's story, but she was a smart woman. She also understood that the more she knew, the closer her relationship with Yang Ming seemed to be, but it was not the kind of relationship between a man and a woman. A man and a woman who were too familiar with each other couldn't be boyfriend and girlfriend. The final result was a confidant with a good relationship. Although there was also the possibility of a confidant being upgraded to a confidant, there were similar examples, but it was rare. Jing Xiaolu's heart was beating like a drum. She didn't know how to choose. She subconsciously wanted to further her relationship with Yang Ming, but subconsciously, she didn't want to lose the passion between a man and a woman because the relationship between the two of them was more familiar. Therefore, Jing Xiaolu hesitated. Yang Ming naturally couldn't think as much as Jing Xiaolu at this time. Looking at Jing Xiaolu in a daze, Yang Ming was very puzzled. Xiaolu, what's wrong with you? Yang Ming rarely called Jing Xiaolu's name, let alone calling her Xiaolu directly. Jing Xiaolu was a little flattered. She couldn't control her tongue and said directly, okay, then tell me. After saying it, Jing Xiaolu regretted it so much that she just wanted to beat herself up. How can I be so careless? I should at least analyze the probability of upgrading from a confidant to a confidant, right? But since she had already said it, Jing Xiaolu couldn't go back on her words. If she went back on her words at this time, Yang Ming would definitely think that she was inexplicably crazy. How do I say it? Hee, maybe you can't imagine it. When I was in junior high school and high school, I was similar to you. I was also an ignorant little punk. I fought all day and thought that I was very powerful. Yang Ming decided to start from the beginning. He hadn't confided to anyone for a long time. Yang Ming also had some uncomfortable feelings in his heart. However, the women around him, except for Sun Jia, he really didn't talk too much. With Chen Mingyan's personality, he was Yang's idea, but T. Even if he was serious, he would talk about some technical things. Similarly, for Xiaoqing, although she knew that Yang Ming had special abilities, she didn't know that Yang Ming was an assassin. Yang Ming could tell her, but Xiaoqing seemed to be too busy. Every time he looked for her, she was in the laboratory. Yang Ming didn't want to disturb her when she was doing business. As for Wang Xiaoyan, both of them had a tacit understanding. Yang Ming had always maintained a strong and wise posture in front of her. Yang Ming had developed the habit of taking the lead in everything. Telling this to Wang Xiaoyan? Yang Ming, a male chauvinist, wouldn't do it. As for Jing Xiaolu, there was naturally no conflict of interest. Her life experience was also quite similar to Yang Ming's. However, this was also a coincidence. If it weren't for Yang Ming thinking so much in the car, he wouldn't be so emotional and wouldn't want to find someone to talk to. Jing Xiaolu happened to be by his side at the right time. Yang Ming had no choice but to tell Jing Xiaolu. On the one hand, Yang Ming also determined that Jing Xiaolu would never betray him. He wasn't afraid of her betrayal by casually telling people or going to the police. For these, Yang Ming could completely deny it. There was no third person present today. Yang Ming could deny it afterward. Yang Ming's betrayal was to inform the boss behind the scenes. If he told his own speculations to the behind-the-scenes boss, he would be in a weak position. However, Jing Xiaolu couldn't be someone sent by the boss, and she couldn't know the boss. What's more, Yang Ming understood Jing Xiaolu's thoughts very well. Although Yang Ming didn't have that kind of thought for Jing Xiaolu now, it was also a good choice for the two of them to be good friends. This was a result that both of them could accept at the moment. Hey! Hearing that Yang Ming actually had this kind of glorious history, Jing Xiaolu opened her mouth wide in surprise. It turns out that you were like this before. Then why are you scolding me? Who hasn't been young and frivolous? But you are still like this in college. Naturally, I have to scold you. Yang Ming remembered the past and also reminisced about it. I am 2 years younger than you, okay? Jing Xiaolu snorted. You are 20 years old. I am only 18 years old. Can't you let me be mature for 2 years later? Yang Ming also heard about Jing Xiaolu's actual age from Gu Xiniao, but at that time, Gu Xiniao just mentioned it. Yang Ming didn't pay attention to it. Now that he heard Jing Xiaolu mention it again, he suddenly realized that Jing Xiaolu's actual age was so young. Well, I will let you be a little more lenient in the future. Yang Ming smiled indifferently and continued, later, when I was in high school, I met Chen Mengyan. She is an upright and kind-hearted girl. I can be admitted to college because of her, although Yang Ming was very clear that he was admitted to college because of his special abilities. Chen Mengyan and Zhao Ying's tireless tutoring did let Yang Ming learn a lot of true knowledge. It wasn't just knowledge that could be obtained by cheating. Jing Xiaolu stretched her ears and listened carefully to Yang Ming's words. Among them, Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan knew each other. Jing Xiaolu was naturally willing to listen. She also wanted to know how Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan knew each other so that she could learn something from it and use it on herself. However, I was very close to Chen Mengyan, but it attracted the dissatisfaction of another admirer of Chen Mengyan in the class. As Yang Ming said this, he sighed with some self-deprecation. I was young and conceited. I thought that nothing was a problem. In the end, I fell into his trap. Yang Ming talked about how he was tricked by Wang Jitao to go to his family's hotel, how he was drugged, how he did something stupid unknowingly, and how he was arrested by the police, and how the case was unexpectedly closed by Lin Jiyun. Jing Xiaolu was shocked. She didn't expect Yang Ming to experience such twists and turns when he was in high school. Previously, Jing Xiaolu envied Lin Jiyun and Chen Mengyan, but she didn't know that there was such a touching and tangled story between them. This was definitely something that she couldn't be envious of. The relationship between Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan during the special years before the college entrance examination, and the emotional entanglement with Lin Jiyun were absolutely impossible to replicate. This was something that she could never imitate even if she wanted to. Jing Xiaolu could only silently bless them. Bless Yang Ming, Chen Mengyan, and Lin Jiyun. It turns out that you have experienced so many things. Jing Xiaolu sighed. I really envy you all. This kind of relationship is the most solid. No wonder you like them so much. However, the guy named Wang Jitao is really bad. Didn't he get any punishment later? Was it okay? Later, of course, he was punished. But before that, he was punished by God. Yang Ming suddenly thought of a very interesting thing. It was about the summer camp after the college entrance examination, the thing between Chen Afu and Wang Jitao. What is it? Jing Xiaolu was obviously interested in the end of this kind of evil person who got what he deserved. After the college entrance examination, a summer camp was held in our class. There was a guy named Chen Afu in our class. He was a little twisted and perverted. He liked to pretend to be a ghost to scare people, so Yang Ming told Jing Xiaolu about how Chen Afu pretended to be a ghost to scare Wang Jitao, causing him to have erectile dysfunction. Although Jing Xiaolu was still a virgin, her thoughts were naturally not so pure. After all, the people she had been in contact with before were small punks, so when she heard Yang Ming's words, she naturally understood the meaning. She suddenly laughed until her tears were about to come out. It can't be, right? He was scared by his own underlings like this? So, this person has done many evil things. Naturally, there will be retribution. Yang Ming laughed. But, what happened after that? What happened after that? Jing Xiaolu patted the back of her head and suddenly said, right, I remember. Did he also get into our Songjiang Industry University? Then, the person who disappeared for no reason was this person named Wang Jitao? Have you heard of him? Yang Ming was a little surprised. Of course, don't you know? The gossip on campus spreads very fast. Jing Xiaolu nodded and said, when this semester started, I heard that there was a student named Wang something. His family was a very famous group in Songjiang, but because of smuggling, they were caught. His whole family was arrested, and the student with the surname Wang also disappeared. I'm afraid that he escaped. Jing Xiaolu naturally didn't know that Wang Jitao had died. Yang Ming wouldn't say these secret things. What Yang Ming told Jing Xiaolu had already omitted the details of the people he killed. Yes, Wang's Century Xiongfen group, a group that was prominent in Songjiang. Yang Ming said with emotion, in the end, all of a sudden, N. When you mentioned this Wang's Century Xiongfen group, I remember. The predecessor of our company seems to be it? Jing Xiaolu suddenly asked. You know about it? Yang Ming didn't hide this. At that time, he let Hou Zhenhan and Bao Sanli get the Wang family's industry from Guojianchao. Although the means were a bit despicable, it was done reasonably and legally. No one could find fault with it. So, the fall of the Wang family is also related to you? Jing Xiaolu was very smart. Naturally, she saw something unusual from these clues. She asked with widened eyes. This is another story. It's about Zhou Jiejia. Yang Ming sighed and told Jing Xiaolu how Zhou Jiejia went undercover in the Wang family, how she got the key evidence of the Wang family's smuggling, and how she blocked the bullet for him. Ah! When Jing Xiaolu heard that Zhou Jiejia blocked the bullet for Yang Ming, she was shocked. Originally, her impression of Zhou Jiejia was completely the kind of flattery that she deliberately made friends with. She didn't have any special opinion of Zhou Jiejia. However, after listening to Yang Ming's words, Jing Xiaolu really had to look at Zhou Jiejia in a new light. Such a weak girl actually blocked the bullet for Yang Ming at the critical moment. How much courage and determination did this require? Moreover, at that time, Yang Ming still misunderstood her. The two of them might not be able to be together. Zhou Jiejia was so decisive. She blocked the bullet for Yang Ming without hesitation. Fortunately, the misfortune was turned into a blessing. God took pity on Zhou Jiejia. Zhou Jiejia finally woke up, and the lovers finally got married. However, you are really willing to let Zhou Jiejia go to the Wang family to take a risk. What if she was? Jing Xiaolu said halfway and suddenly laughed. Oh right? Wang Jitao is already scared to the point that he isn't a man anymore. Ha 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 ha. Yang Ming said this to Jing Xiaolu. On the one hand, he wanted to tell Jing Xiaolu that although he had more than one girlfriend, he was not the kind of person who fell in love with every girl he met. There was an unusual story between him and these girls. It was not the kind of simple meeting and coveting their beauty. These were also to pave the way for the things to be said in the future. These were already thrilling enough, but the things that followed were obviously more thrilling. Yang Ming also wanted Jing Xiaolu to be mentally prepared. What I am going to say next is another clue. It also happened to me, but it has nothing to do with Wang Jitao, the enemy. Yang Ming waited for Jing Xiaolu to stop laughing and continued. Oh. Jing Xiaolu straightened her body. Yang Ming's story was like in a movie. It was even more thrilling than a movie or TV series. Jing Xiaolu was already fascinated unknowingly. She even forgot the movie she was watching in front of her. She was completely immersed in Yang Ming's past. Tell me about it. My other identity is an assassin. Yang Ming said until here. He paused and said, do you believe it? What? Assassin? Jing Xiaolu was stunned. She looked at Yang Ming incredulously. Intuitively, Jing Xiaolu felt that Yang Ming would not lie to her, but assassin was a very distant concept. It was too far away from real life. Have you seen a movie by Jet Li, The King of Assassins? Yang Ming gave an example. Ah. Of course, I have seen it. Jing Xiaolu nodded and said in amazement, really, there are assassins? In this world? All professions are not fabricated out of thin air. Since there is such a profession, then there is naturally the existence of real killers. Yang Ming explained, but in the movie, it is just a superficial description of the assassin world. This is just a superficial description. Jing Xiaolu said in amazement, then, aren't you also the kind of Lone Ranger? Punishing evil and eliminating evil? Every assassin has the principles of every assassin. Yang Ming said, not all assassins will punish evil and eliminate evil. Many of them will also take the money to assassinate some good people. However, some assassins have their own choices for the missions they perform. That is, they only kill those who they think are bad people or those who deserve to die. However, a regular assassin group will not be picky about the missions because it has already formed a scale. So, among the targets they assassinate, there are often many innocent people. But an independent assassin has his own judgment. He can choose his own mission, just like me. Then, you specialize in killing bad people? Jing Xiaolu was a little excited. She always thought that Yang Ming was a good person in her heart. If Yang Ming could not distinguish between good and evil, then she would be very disappointed. I haven't graduated yet. Yang Ming hid this from Jing Xiaolu. He didn't want to tell Jing Xiaolu that he had killed people. This was not good for Jing Xiaolu's heart, so he left some leeway in his words. I see. Jing Xiaolu patted her chest and said, I was wondering. Otherwise, you would be wandering around the world, and I wouldn't be able to see you anymore. The reason why I can become an assassin is also because of an unusual story, Yang Ming said. This also starts when I entered the detention center in high school. As Yang Ming said, he told Jing Xiaolu the process of how he met Fang Tian and Dong Jun after he entered the detention center. At first, he just wanted to help this poor old man, but he didn't expect the old man to have another identity. Because Yang Ming also wanted Jing Xiaolu to help him to consult and make an idea, he told her about how he left the detention center, had a misunderstanding and quarrel with Chen Mengyan, and went to Yunnan with Zhang Bin. Of course, it also included the process of meeting Lan Ling and going to jade gambling together. However, Yang Ming credited the credit of jade gambling to Lan Ling's sixth sense. After that, Yang Ming told her in detail about the disappearance of the piece of jade, how it appeared in Lan Ling's bag, and the process of its disappearance. In order to let Jing Xiaolu have a clear idea, Yang Ming naturally told Jing Xiaolu about the grievances and intricate relationships in Lan Ling's family so that she could have a general idea. Assassin, voodoo. These were all things that Jing Xiaolu had never heard of in her life. Today, she was exposed to so many unknown things, which made her both excited and surprised. However, she did not doubt the authenticity of Yang Ming's words because Jing Xiaolu felt that Yang Ming would definitely not lie to her. After Yang Ming said this, he told Jing Xiaolu about the appearance of the piece of jade, Chen Afu's arrest, and the feud between himself and Elder Yu. Chapter 1243. Alice knocked on the door of the private room, but her eyes glanced behind her vigilantly. She was relieved when she saw that no suspicious person followed her. At this moment, Victoria was still being interrogated by the waiter downstairs. Naturally, she had not caught up. Who is it? A hoarse man's voice came from the private room. "It's me, Alice," replied Alice. "Please come in." The man with the hoarse voice heard Alice's voice outside the door, so he said, "The door is not locked." "Thank you." Alice smiled at the waiter next to her and said, "You can leave now." "Okay, call us if you need anything." The waiter knew that Alice was asking him to leave. This was not surprising. When customers came to the coffee shop, most of them were here to talk about business. It was normal to not let the waiter be present, so the waiter didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. What's more, the people in this private room had already ordered a few expensive drinks. Alice pushed the door and walked in, but she saw her brother sitting with another unfamiliar man in his 30s. Although her brother was wearing a mask, Alice still recognized him at a glance. Alice had seen this mask before, but her brother would not wear it when he was alone with her. Today, her brother wore a mask, which showed that her brother did not want to show his true face. It must be because he did not want the man in his 30s in front of him to see his true appearance. Her brother introduced her to this person today, which also indirectly showed that her brother still trusted this person very much. It was only possible that her brother wore a mask out of caution. "Brother." As soon as Alice entered the door, she threw herself into the arms of the black-shirt man like a bird. "I miss you so much." Okay. How old are you? Why are you still so childish?" The black-shirt man smiled helplessly. "There are other people here. Don't be a joke." After that, the black-shirt man touched Alice's hair lovingly. His eyes were full of care, not like the usual coldness. However, in this care, she saw a trace of helplessness. For his own righteousness, he had to let this sister, whom he loved most since he was a child, join his plan and battle. Although Alice was voluntary, the black-shirt man also understood that Alice actually did not want to live this kind of life. She just wanted a peaceful life, but for the sake of the sibling relationship, she helped her brother. Alice listened to the black-shirt man's words and jumped away. She smiled embarrassedly at the man in his 30s. "Alice, go and lock the door of the private room." The black-shirt man restored his usual cold expression and instructed Alice. "Yes." Alice walked quickly to the door of the private room, locked the door, and then returned to the table, sitting opposite the black-shirt man and the man in his 30s. "Alice, let me introduce you." "Nice to meet you." The young military advisor in his 30s stood up and reached out his hand in a very decent manner. He shook hands with Alice and introduced himself. "Hello, Mr. Huang. Nice to meet you." Alice heard that her brother admired the person in front of her, so her attitude toward him was very warm. Not bad. This young military advisor was Wang Shifan's former secretary and incompetent military advisor, Huang Yukai. The reason why Huang Yukai hated Yang Ming was that he wanted to avenge Wang Shifan and Wang Jitao. At that time, Wang Jitao and Wang Shui conspired to kill Yang Ming at sea. Huang Yukai knew about this matter. However, Huang Yukai tried to stop Wang Jitao. After all, this was a very dangerous thing. Not to mention that Yang Ming's skill was very good, which Huang Yukai had seen before. Wang Shui's boyfriend, Tian Donghua, might not help Wang Shui to deal with Yang Ming. Therefore, Huang Yukai persuaded Wang Jitao not to take the risk. Everything should be considered at length. Where there is life, there is hope. There will be opportunities for revenge, so there was no hurry. However, Wang Jitao's body was defective, and his heart was distorted. On the surface, although he listened to Huang Youcai's persuasion, in fact, he didn't listen at all. Finally, when Huang Yukai went out to purchase necessities, he contacted Wang Shui behind Huang Youcai's back and conspired with a conspiracy at sea. But, unfortunately, it failed. When Huang Yukai saw Wang Jitao's message to himself, he knew that it was too late. However, Wang Jitao had already acted, and Huang Yukai couldn't help it. He could only wait for Wang Jitao to come back. However, after Wang Jitao left this time, he never came back. After waiting for a few days, Huang Yukai was also completely desperate. He knew that Wang Jitao was definitely not going well. He was probably dead. In desperation, Huang Yukai sought refuge with the black-shirt man and decided to avenge Wang Shifan and Wang Jitao. Although Huang Yukai was a little punk, he knew how to repay kindness. In the past, Huang Yukai was just a little punk. Because he had some cleverness, he cheated in gambling. However, because he cheated secretly, no one found out. Huang Youcai's life was very comfortable. However, when he conspired with a friend to cheat a rich guy from the south, he was seen through by the bodyguard of the rich guy from the south. Huang Yukai and his friend were caught on the spot. At this time, Huang Yukai knew that he really offended someone he couldn't afford to offend. This boss from the south, how could he be an ordinary rich guy? He was a smuggling crocodile who came here to pick up the goods. How could Huang Yukai afford to offend such a person? As a result, Huang Yukai and his friend were beaten to death by the southern boss's men. His friend couldn't hold on and was beaten to death. Although Huang Yukai had the awareness of death when he was caught, it was because these people who engaged in smuggling were not easy to deal with. There must be lives on their hands, so they wouldn't take killing one or two people seriously. However, when he saw his companion die in front of him, and he was beaten to death, Huang Yukai was scared. Looking at his companion's bloody head, Huang Yukai almost vomited. Fortunately, at this time, the boss who was doing business with the southern boss arrived. The southern boss waved his hand and stopped his bodyguard from continuing to beat Huang Yukai. This local boss was naturally Wang Shifan. Wang Shifan saw Huang Yukai, who was beaten badly, so he asked a few questions casually. The southern boss naturally told the truth about Huang Youcai's gambling fraud. Wang Shifan listened to the southern boss's talk about Huang Youcai's gambling fraud. He felt that this Huang Yukai was a talent, so he said to the southern boss, "This person is very interesting. How about giving him to me?" Originally, Huang Yukai wasn't an important figure. He was worthless for the southern boss. Since Wang Shifan opened this mouth, the southern boss naturally had no reason to refuse. He agreed. The cooperation between the two sides was very pleasant. The southern boss returned with a full load. Wang Shifan also sent Huang Yukai to the hospital. This feeling of escaping from death made Huang Yukai feel like he was reborn. His gratitude to Wang Shifan wasn't just a little bit. After Huang Yukai was discharged from the hospital, Wang Shifan talked to him and felt that he was a useful talent, so he kept him as a secretary. Huang Yukai was grateful. He also knew how to repay kindness. Over the years, he had been advising Wang Shifan and doing a lot of things for Wang Shifan. Huang Youcai's life was saved by Wang Shifan. Huang Youcai's loyalty to Wang Shifan was naturally unquestionable. This was also the reason why Huang Yukai took the initiative to take the blame before Wang Shifan's accident. However, Wang Shifan didn't agree because Huang Yukai was just a secretary. He couldn't take the blame. In the end, it would be in vain. Therefore, Wang Shifan asked Huang Yukai to take care of Wang Jitao. Huang Yukai didn't fail the trust and shouldered the responsibility of taking care of Wang Jitao. It was just a moment of carelessness. Wang Jitao died. This made Huang Yukai regretful and angry. How could he face Wang Shifan, who was sentenced to death? Therefore, Huang Yukai swore that he must kill Yang Ming and avenge Wang Jitao and Wang Shifan. Coincidentally, this black-shirt man was a like-minded person. Huang Yukai colluded with this black-shirt man with his wisdom of conspiracy. This time, I will introduce Mr. Huang to you. If I have something, I will let Mr. Huang contact you. The black-shirt man said, recently, that person seems to be suspicious. I can't show up often. The last time I cooperated with Elder Yu, this guy screwed things up. The situation is so tense. The people in the police station are also looking for me. Alice nodded. She knew her brother's difficulties. Although she wanted to see her brother often, she still had to focus on the overall situation. I understand. I will contact Mr. Huang in the future. Alice nodded. If there is nothing, don't call me. Yang Ming is not a fool. If my identity is exposed, then everything is over. The black-shirted man sighed and said, Alice, don't worry. The day of our success is not far away. I hope so. Although Alice felt that her current life was already very good, she still silently supported the black-shirted man. Because this was her brother's lifelong dream. This time, in addition to introducing Mr. Huang to you, there is another important thing to tell you. The black-shirted man smiled. This time, it is estimated that Yang Ming is doomed. Oh. Alice frowned. She didn't know why, but when she heard that Yang Ming was doomed, there was a strange feeling in Alice's heart. Although this was what she and her brother had been looking forward to, she just didn't know why. Alice was faintly uncomfortable. This was the feeling that she didn't have when she assassinated Yang Ming in the casino. Maybe it was because she hadn't slept well recently. Because of the time difference, Alice hadn't rested well in the past few days, so Alice attributed the reason to this. Tonight, Yang Ming went to Mount Jing and went to the Immortal Building. The black-shirted man thought about it and said, this idea was thought of by Mr. Huang. Let Mr. Huang introduce it. Huang Yukai did not decline. He nodded and continued, Yang Ming went to the Immortal Building to teach the president, Sui Yuejin, a lesson. He is one of the chess pieces in our plan this time. Miss Alice should know about this plan, right? Alice nodded. Her brother had already introduced the situation here when he talked to her on the phone, so Alice was very clear about who Sui Yuejin was, so she said, please continue, Mr. Huang. Yang Ming just entered the Immortal Building to teach Sui Yuejin a lesson, but he didn't kill him. Huang Yukai said, but I let the boss follow closely. After Yang Ming left, he entered the Immortal Building and killed Sui Yuejin and all the survivors in the Immortal Building. Mr. Huang wants to frame Yang Ming? Alice suddenly thought of the key to the whole thing. You are indeed the boss's sister. You are very smart. Huang Yukai nodded. The surveillance video of the Immortal Building completely recorded the time when Yang Ming entered the building. As long as this video is provided to the police, I believe that Yang Ming can't defend himself, but, will the police believe it? Alice asked hesitantly. It's hard to say whether the police will believe it or not, but if they don't believe it, can't we make them believe it? Huang Yukai smiled insidiously. At first, my idea was that as long as Yang Ming was caught for investigation, as long as he entered the detention center, I would be sure to find the boss in the detention center in Mount Jing. I would find a way to kill Yang Ming in a group fight. However, the boss said that Yang Ming's skills were good. This plan obviously won't work. Indeed, Yang Ming's skills are very good. Alice said, in order to gain Yang Ming's trust, I let my men pretend to be pirates to catch me. As a result, Yang Ming easily killed my men. When the Korean king of gamblers wanted to kill him in the casino, he easily resolved it. If my men didn't kill the Korean king of gamblers quickly, I am afraid that I would have been exposed at this moment. Sure enough. Although Huang Yukai heard the boss say how powerful Yang Ming was, he still didn't believe it when it was said by one person. However, when he heard Alice's words, Huang Yukai was more convinced that Yang Ming was not so easy to deal with. However, when I heard the boss mention Miss Alice, I thought of another idea. Huang Yukai said, with Miss Alice's international identity and influence, as long as you are a witness and testify to the police that you saw Yang Ming going to kill someone, then the police can't help but believe it. You mean, you want me to give false testimony? Alice frowned. Once I fail, won't I be exposed in advance? I believe that with Miss Alice's identity, you don't have to testify in court. You just have to testify to the police in secret. Huang Yukai said confidently, Miss Alice is a very famous person in the European upper class. As long as you have a request, the Mount Jing police will definitely keep your identity secret. That's possible. Alice nodded. Indeed, even if it was an ordinary witness, when the police asked for confidentiality, they could consider it at their discretion. With Alice's current international status, the police would definitely not insist on anything if they wanted to keep it a secret. After all, Alice's international influence was quite great. How about it? Miss Alice, what do you think of my suggestion? Huang Yukai was a little proud. The biggest highlight of this idea was Alice's identity. With Alice's identity as a witness, the police would definitely carefully consider Alice's testimony. Let me think about it. Alice hesitated. She didn't know why, but she didn't want Yang Ming to be finished immediately. She was still looking forward to the following university life. Alice had never been to university. She just wanted to experience the life of a university student, but she was disrupted by Huang Youcai's plan. However, she had to admit that this was indeed an opportunity. Whether it could succeed or not was one thing. The most important thing was that her brother seemed to be eager for her to do so. You should consider it. The black-shirt man nodded. Once Yang Ming is proven to be innocent, it will still have an impact on Alice's reputation. Although the police here can't do anything to Alice, they will definitely inform Alice's embassy over there. If this matter is exposed in the media, then Alice's reputation and foundation in Europe that she has worked hard to establish. I am afraid, when she heard her brother say this, Alice was a little embarrassed. She hesitated, clenched her teeth and said, "Okay, I promise you that I will testify." That's great. In this way, the success rate will be greatly increased. Huang Yukai nodded excitedly. He could avenge Wang Shifan and Wang Jitao. Huang Yukai had been waiting for this day for a long time. However, this is just a preliminary idea. The specific way to provide testimony and the way to provide testimony still needs to be discussed. I will think about it carefully and make a final decision. Huang Yukai also heard the black-shirt man introduce Alice's identity before Alice came. Then, he thought of this method temporarily. So, it was just a general direction and outline. As for how to implement it, he had to go back and think about it carefully. He would strive to make Yang Ming unable to make a comeback this time. Alice was a little upset. After listening to Huang Youcai's words, she nodded silently and changed the topic. Dr. Benjamin in Australia, Alice just said half a sentence, and she was stopped by the black-shirt man with a gesture. Alice suddenly reacted. My brother may not have told these things to Huang Yukai, and the cooperation between Huang Yukai and my brother was only to target Yang Ming. Huang Yukai was not the kind of person who meddled in other people's business. He only had one purpose, which was to kill Yang Ming and avenge Wang Shifan and Wang Jitao. As for other things, they had nothing to do with him, and he didn't want to know. The topic of the black-shirt man and Alice's discussion was related to a doctor in Australia. Obviously, it had nothing to do with killing Yang Ming. The black-shirt man stopped Alice from continuing, which meant that this matter was between the siblings. Chapter 1244. It had nothing to do with him and the assassination of Yang Ming, so Huang Yukai also stood up at the right time. He smiled and said to the black-shirt man and Alice, I just drank too much coffee. I will go to the bathroom and smoke a cigarette. The black-shirt man nodded with appreciation. Huang Yukai was very shrewd. He didn't want to know about things that had nothing to do with him. This was also an important reason why the black-shirt man was very happy to cooperate with him. The cooperation between the black-shirt man and Huang Yukai was limited to dealing with Yang Ming. The black-shirt man's other plans naturally wouldn't be known to Huang Yukai, but Huang Yukai didn't ask. He felt that this had nothing to do with him. If he asked too much, it would seem that he had other plans. Moreover, Huang Yukai didn't think that the black-shirt man was only targeting Yang Ming. The financial resources and power that the black-shirt man showed shocked Huang Yukai. If the black-shirt man only targeted Yang Ming, then this goal was a bit too short-sighted. Therefore, there must be a deeper level of hidden existence behind the black-shirt man. However, these things had nothing to do with Huang Yukai. Huang Yukai wasn't stupid. The more he knew, the deeper he would fall. He just wanted to kill Yang Ming, then he would part ways with the black-shirt man. As for what the black-shirt man would do after that, Huang Yukai was too lazy to ask, and it was impossible for him to continue to give advice. He didn't want to tie himself to the same chariot as the black-shirt man. Victoria had been listening to the movements in the private room next to her. When she heard the sound of the door opening from the private room next to her, Victoria suddenly felt nervous. However, in order not to arouse the suspicion of the people in the private room next to her, Victoria only opened a gap in her private room door. She could just see the scene in the corridor, but it didn't attract the attention of others. She saw that the door of the private room next to her opened, and a man in his 30s came out from inside. The man was a little thin, with a buzz cut. He didn't look too decent, and he was a little wretched. Seeing that it wasn't Alice, Victoria breathed a sigh of relief. This person wouldn't recognize her, so Victoria didn't need to be careful. That would make people suspicious. Victoria waited for the man in his 30s to leave the private room and closed the door. Then, Victoria walked out of the private room and followed the man in his 30s who came out of the private room next door. The guests in the corridor were not only Huang Yukai and Victoria. There were also waiters and guests in other private rooms, so Huang Yukai didn't suspect anything when people came and went. He didn't think much about it. Huang Yukai walked to the bathroom and didn't even look back. She looked around and quickly closed it again. There was no figure of Huang Yukai outside the door, and Alice didn't notice Victoria. If Alice's eyesight was good enough, she should be able to see Victoria's figure in the mirror on the sink at the end of the corridor, but obviously, Alice didn't pay attention to those details. She mainly wanted to see if Huang Yukai was standing at the door. As long as Huang Yukai wasn't standing at the door, it was fine. Other things had nothing to do with her. What's more, Alice was also afraid that Huang Yukai would look at this side from a distance. If he saw her open the door, then he could obviously guess her intentions, which would make Huang Yukai have distressed thoughts. When Alice saw that there was no one in the corridor, she quickly closed the door and returned to her seat. "Brother, it's okay. Mr. Huang is not at the door." The black-shirt man nodded and made a gesture to let her continue. "Alice, what did you want to say before?" "Dr. Benjamin, have you been contacted recently?" asked Alice. "Yes." The black-shirt man nodded and pointed to his face. "My mask is Dr. Benjamin's latest improvement. Dr. Benjamin is sure that Shuya is the little girl who saw Sun Sikong that year?" Alice asked with some doubts. "But I didn't see anything strange on her face through my contact with her. At first, I didn't think it was her, but judging from her frequent contact with Yang Ming, it should be her." The black-shirt man said, "This is more proof that Sun Sikong's mask has a more advanced technological content. Even a few years ago, it had far surpassed Dr. Benjamin's." "If that's the case, it is true." Alice sighed. "Shuya's face is very real, far more real than your expressionless mask." "That's right. At first glance, there is nothing wrong. It's just that after a long time of contact, there will be doubts." The black-shirt man nodded. "If you want to find Sun Sikong's whereabouts, you must start with Shuya. You must maintain a good relationship with Shuya. Don't break it. Brother, you can rest assured. My personal relationship with Shuya is very good now," Alice said with some pride. As a hardcore fan of Shuya, Alice actually had a purpose. Alice didn't know much about the things between Dr. Benjamin and her brother, but one thing was clear. That was, her brother had been helping Dr. Benjamin, and Dr. Benjamin asked him to find a person named Sun Sikong. According to the investigation, Suya, who was now a star in the music industry, was the former Suya, but it was unknown why her face changed. After further investigation, it was found that when Sun Sikong settled in Songjiang, he did have frequent contact with a girl named Suya. But later, Sun Sikong disappeared, and this girl named Suya also disappeared. Originally, although Suya and Shuya only differed by one surname, they wouldn't fall into the eyes of the black-shirt man. After all, one was a famous singer in Hong Kong and Taiwan, and the other was a little girl in Songjiang. How could two unrelated characters be the same person? However, in the investigation, there was a major discovery. That was, Suya was actually Yang Ming's little girlfriend. This discovery made the black-shirt man a little surprised. However, he didn't see Yang Ming contact Suya again. Finding Suya became a very difficult task. However, coincidentally, the big star Shuya actually came to Songjiang to hold a concert. This didn't attract the attention of the black-shirt man. What caught his attention was the frequent contact between Shuya and Yang Ming. This made the black-shirt man have doubts. The two people who had no contact with each other were related to Yang Ming at the same time, especially their names were very similar. This made the black-shirt man think more. Especially when he knew about the mask function developed by Sun Sikong, the more the black-shirt man thought about it, the more he felt that this Shuya was likely to be Suya in the past, but she was wearing the mask developed by Sun Sikong. So, after this, the black-shirt man paid attention to Shuya, but his identity limited his actions, so he couldn't carry out further investigations on Shuya. Therefore, the black-shirt man entrusted his sister, Alice, to investigate Shuya's identity. After Alice received her brother's order, she pretended to be a fan of Shuya and used her influence in the European upper class to start collecting information on Shuya. What attracted the black-shirt man's absolute attention was the meeting between Yang Ming and Shuya in Macau. A big star without any scandals actually met with a strange man frequently. This was somewhat unreasonable. If there was no relationship between them, the black-shirt man wouldn't believe it. Therefore, the black-shirt man was even more suspicious that this Shuya was that Suya. Until the third meeting between Yang Ming and Shuya in Europe, the black-shirt man let Alice intervene, hoping to find some clues from it. If Sun Sikong can join the organization, he will definitely be a very powerful help. The black-shirt man smiled. At that time, I don't have to be afraid of that person. Alice didn't know much about these things, so when her brother said these things, she couldn't make an evaluation. She could only nod silently. Keep a good relationship with Shuya. Try to get some information about Shuya from Yang Ming. The black-shirt man said, "We don't have much time." "I understand. I will try my best." Alice responded solemnly. There was a knock on the door. The black-shirt man asked loudly in a hoarse voice, "Who is it?" "It's me." Huang Yotsai's voice came from outside the door. "Come in." The black-shirt man breathed a sigh of relief and said. Huang Yukai pushed the door and came in. He smiled and sat in his seat. "Have you and your sister finished talking?" "Hee, we haven't seen each other for a long time. It's nothing much to talk about." The black-shirt man waved his hand and said, "If there is nothing else, let's disperse. Keep in touch by phone." After Huang Yukai returned to the private room, Victoria also quickly left the bathroom and returned to her private room. She continued to attach her ear to the door, listening to the movement outside the door. When the sound of the door opening came again from the private room next door, Victoria noticed that Alice and two strange men came out of the private room together. One of them was the man she met in the bathroom. At this time, it was definitely impossible to go out and take photos. Not only was it easy to be discovered by these people, but it was not worth the loss to expose herself, especially when Alice knew her. Victoria didn't need to take the risk. However, Victoria came to the window in the private room. She opened the window and carefully looked at the terrain outside the window. Then, she quickly jumped on the windowsill, jumped out, and grabbed the air conditioner's iron frame under the windowsill. At this moment, Victoria's whole body was suspended in mid-air, and this was on the second floor. With the air conditioner's iron frame as a buffer, Victoria was not high from the ground downstairs. So, Victoria let go of her hand that was holding the air conditioner's iron frame and jumped to the ground below easily. This was the back of the coffee shop. There were few people, so when Victoria jumped down, she was not seen by anyone. In particular, Victoria's movements were very fast. It was smooth, and there was no pause in the middle. After reaching the ground, she quickly ran in the direction of the main entrance of the coffee shop. Alice, the black-shirted man, and Huang Yukai went downstairs normally, and they had to go to the bar on the first floor to check out, so their movements were naturally not as fast as Victoria. After Victoria came to the main entrance of the coffee shop, she quickly hid behind a station billboard. After a while, Alice and the two men went out of the coffee shop together. Alice stopped a taxi directly and left. The man she saw in the bathroom and another black-shirted man got into another taxi. When Huang Yukai and the black-shirted man went out, Victoria quickly took a few photos with her camera. After Huang Yukai and the black-shirted man got into the taxi, Victoria hesitated, and then stopped a taxi to follow them. The black-shirted man's anti-tracking ability was quite strong. Regardless of whether there was someone behind him, he would not take a taxi directly to the destination. At the door of a grocery store, the black-shirted man said to the taxi driver, "Stop the car. We are going to buy a pack of cigarettes." When the taxi driver heard the black-shirted man say, "we," he naturally understood that the black-shirted man and Huang Yukai were going to get off together. He immediately disagreed. "How can that be? If you all get off and run away, who am I going to ask for the fare? Don't worry. This is 100 yuan. I will bet with you." The black-shirted man took out 100 yuan and threw it on the taxi's dashboard. Then, he said, "You wait for us here for a while." When the driver saw that the black-shirted man threw 100 yuan as a deposit, he naturally would not say anything. He nodded and let them get off. Victoria saw the black-shirted man and Huang Yutsai's car stop in the distance. She quickly asked her driver to stop and let him park the car not far away. When Victoria saw Huang Yukai and the black-shirted man enter a grocery store, and their taxi was still waiting outside the grocery store, Victoria was relieved. She subconsciously thought that the two people must have gone to the grocery store to buy something. So, Victoria waited patiently in the car. After waiting for a long time, the driver of the black-shirted man and Huang Yutsai's taxi got off. Maybe he was a little impatient, so he entered the grocery store. Not long after, the taxi driver came out again, cursing. Although it was a distance from Victoria, the taxi driver had a loud voice. He shouted loudly, "Motherfucker, these two people are really strange. They didn't want the 100 yuan deposit. They actually left through the back door of the grocery store. I really don't know what they are thinking. The fare to get here is only 10 yuan." After the taxi driver finished speaking, he jumped into his car, started the car, and left. As for Victoria, when she heard the taxi driver's words, she was shocked and scolded herself for being careless. However, after thinking about it, what can I do even if I am not careless? Could it be that he could follow these two people into the grocery store? That would be a bit too obvious. At the same time, they took a taxi to the grocery store. Thinking of this, Victoria was also relieved. She said to the driver of her car, "Let's go back to the Songjiang International Hotel." The waiting time was also calculated by the meter, so the taxi driver naturally would not complain about how long he had waited. When he heard Victoria's order, he quickly responded, started the car, and drove in the direction of the Songjiang International Hotel. Chapter 1245. Yang Ming said so, and Jing Xiaolu listened carefully. "Then, that elder you felt that you would cause trouble for him if you were to be with Lan Ling. So, he stole that piece of jade and framed Lan Ling. His purpose was to make you mistakenly think that it was Lan Ling who did it and thus alienate Lan Ling?" When Jing Xiaolu said this, she felt that the possibility was not high. She patted her head and said, "No, at that time, you didn't show that you were very powerful. Why would Elder Yu be wary of you? Could it be that he has a special ability to predict? Can he foresee that you will destroy his future plans? Special ability?" Yang Ming was dumbfounded. How could there be so many special abilities in this world? If he has a special ability and can foresee that I will destroy his plans, then he can completely guard against it. Why would he wait for me to destroy it? That's true. Jing Xiaolu stuck out her tongue. She just said it casually. Although Elder Yu was powerful, it was absolutely impossible for him to have a special ability. Lan Ling's sixth sense was just a little stronger. Of course, this is an enemy in the open. Yang Ming said, in fact, an enemy that you know is not terrible. The most terrible thing is the kind of enemy that can't be seen and can't be touched, and is always targeting you. Although Elder Yu is cunning, and he also practices those crooked kung fu, you just need to be careful. Oh. Could it be that there is an enemy that can't be seen and can't be touched? Jing Xiaolu thought that Elder Yu was terrible enough. She didn't expect that there was an enemy that could not be seen and could not be touched to deal with Yang Ming. Yang Ming wanted to say something, but the phone rang. However, in the cinema with loud sound effects, it couldn't even be heard. If the phone wasn't set to vibrate and ring at the same time, Yang Ming couldn't hear it. Hello? Yang Ming gestured to Jing Xiaolu and picked up the phone. Mr. Yang, this is Victoria. Victoria also heard that Yang Ming's side was noisy, so she increased the volume of her voice. Anyway, she was now in a hotel room. The room's soundproofing was very good after the renovation. She couldn't hear anything from the outside. Well, how is it? Yang Ming turned the volume of the phone to the maximum and asked. Alice met with two strange men. I've already taken a picture of them. Victoria said, after that, I took a taxi to follow the two strange men, but they were very cunning. They actually entered a grocery store on the way and left from the back door of the grocery store. You weren't discovered, right? Yang Ming didn't find it strange. This was the simplest anti-tracking method. If the person Alice met didn't even have such a sense of vigilance, then there was no threat to Yang Ming. No, Victoria said with certainty, Alice has already returned to the hotel. Okay, hide the camera well. I'll come to you tomorrow morning. Yang Ming said. Victoria responded and hung up the phone. Jing Xiaolu was confused. When Yang Ming hung up the phone, she asked, what happened? Didn't I tell you before that there is another person who is targeting me behind the scenes? Yang Ming said, I have a little clue and sent someone to follow it, but the harvest is not big. Oh, so that's the case. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Do you have something urgent? Why don't we not watch the movie? It's nothing. Yang Ming smiled. Don't worry. What's more, it doesn't matter whether I leave earlier or later. It doesn't help. Then you continue to tell me about the behind-the-scenes boss. When Jing Xiaolu saw that Yang Ming didn't leave, she was happy. Yang Ming sorted out his thoughts and continued, I'm going to tell you about this behind-the-scenes boss. In fact, the first time I heard the term behind-the-scenes boss was in Macau. As Yang Ming spoke, he told Jing Xiaolu about his encounter with Wang Xiaoyan in Macau. Of course, Yang Ming did not say Wang Xiaoyan's real name, but replaced it with the word female assassin. Ah. How did you have a feud with the behind-the-scenes boss? In other words, you are still hindering other people's plans, so he is troubling you? Jing Xiaolu widened her eyes as if she was blaming Yang Ming for being a busybody. Did you do this because she is good-looking? She is very good-looking, but you are also very good-looking. Yang Ming glanced at Jing Xiaolu. I helped her mainly because I knew her before. This is the main reason. Jing Xiaolu smiled after listening to Yang Ming's words. She was happy that Yang Ming said that she was good-looking. It turns out to be like this. However, just because you saved the female assassin, the behind-the-scenes boss has a grudge against you? Isn't that too much of a waste of time? Yang Ming suddenly sweated after listening to Jing Xiaolu's words. Of course, it's not because of this. I feel that the behind-the-scenes boss seems to be targeting me more. Why do you say this? Asked Jing Xiaolu in confusion. Although I fought with the behind-the-scenes boss in Macau by accident, the later signs indicated a problem. That is, the target of the behind-the-scenes boss should be me. As Yang Ming spoke, he told Jing Xiaolu about the attack at Wang Xiaoyan's house and the encounter with the thief at the jewelry exhibition. Of course, Yang Ming did not mention the man who committed suicide at Wang Xiaoyan's house. He just said that she ran away afterward. The thief caught at the jewelry exhibition actually went to Macau to seek refuge with Jing Xiaoping. Jing Xiaolu fell into contemplation after listening. So, they are really under the orders of the same boss. But it's strange. He actually targeted you again? This is also where I find it strange. Yang Ming nodded and said, I have never understood. What did I do to offend these people? Why are they always targeting me? You must have hindered their interests. Of course, it's not just because you stopped them from killing the female assassin in Macau. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Jing Xiaolu pondered for a while and analyzed, perhaps, you have inadvertently hindered the other party's interests or wealth. It may not be a logical thing for you, but for them, you have become a thorn in their side. This is the most likely reason. Besides this, I really can't think of any other reason. I have inadvertently hindered other people's interests. Yang Ming frowned. He seemed to be recalling whether he had hindered other people's interests. However, since it was unintentional, he certainly did not have much of an impression. Jing Xiaolu was right. Perhaps something that seemed very ordinary or even reasonable to him had hindered other people's wealth. This was the most difficult to detect. He did not pay attention to it and inadvertently offended others. Even if he wanted to find out the reason, he had no way to start. I can only guess like this now. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Is the thief who was caught still around? Since he is a master of theft, then I suddenly thought of something. Is it related to him when your jade stone disappeared and reappeared? According to your story, the jade stone disappeared and reappeared without anyone knowing. In other words, the person who manipulated this matter is definitely a master of theft. So, is there any connection? After listening to Jing Xiaolu's analysis, Yang Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Indeed, he only thought that the theft of the jade stone in Yunnan must be related to Elder Yu's people. The purpose was to frame Lan Ling and create a gap between him and Lan Ling, but he did not think of something deeper. That was, the person who stole the jade must also be a master. Since it was a master, could it be the same person who stole the jade stone this time? Unfortunately, the person who stole the jade stone had committed suicide. Yang Ming had no way to make a dead person speak. The only clue left was the encrypted mobile phone. He could only hope that there were some clues in it. Seeing that Yang Ming's face was first happy and then darkened, Jing Xiaolu understood that Yang Ming must have thought of something, but the person who stole the jade stone might not be there anymore. The behind-the-scenes boss used the stolen jewelry as an exchange for the return of the treasure thief. Yang Ming sighed and said helplessly. It turned out to be like this. Then, I can't blame you. If such precious jewelry is really lost, you can't afford to pay for it. Jing Xiaolu didn't know how much money Yang Ming had. She just knew that the treasure that Yang Ming mentioned was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Even if Ming Yang Entertainment and other companies were Yang Ming's, they were not worth the price of that piece of jewelry. Yang Ming could definitely afford to pay for it, but he couldn't tell Jing Xiaolu that the person who stole the jade stone was dead. Before he had more contact with Jing Xiaolu, Yang Ming would tell her about the murders and deaths. However, according to what you said, these two things seem to be related. Yang Ming frowned. So, it seems that Elder Yu and the mysterious boss have a cooperative relationship from the beginning? It is also possible. Yang Ming felt that things were a bit messy. If the behind-the-scenes boss had a cooperative relationship with Elder Yu from the beginning, then he really couldn't tell who was targeting him. Was it Elder Yu who wanted to target him and cooperate with the behind-the-scenes boss? Or was the behind-the-scenes boss who wanted to target him and cooperate with Elder Yu? Or were both of them targeting him, and then they hit it off? What are you thinking? Jing Xiaolu looked at Yang Ming's uncertain expression and asked, Are you thinking that in this way, you can't tell who is targeting you? Yang Ming listened to Jing Xiaolu's words and nodded subconsciously. Stupid, why do you have to be so clear about it? Jing Xiaolu suddenly covered her mouth and laughed. No matter who is targeting you, now that they have joined forces, they are all your enemies. Why do you have to be so clear about it? Chapter 1246. After listening to Jing Xiaolu's words, Yang Ming had a feeling of enlightenment. The reason was simple, but it was very practical. Since the two people were now targeting him at the same time, then he really didn't need to distinguish who was the master and who was the subordinate. It didn't matter who was the master as long as he was careful in the future. Ice Age was over, and the subtitles came out. Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming suddenly realized that the movie was over so quickly. The two of them didn't watch much at all. Do you want it? Watch another one. Jing Xiaolu was a little unsatisfied. She watched the beginning before, and then she had been discussing Elder Yu and the behind-the-scenes boss with Yang Ming. She didn't watch the movie at all, so Jing Xiaolu also wanted to see if the little animals escaped and how they escaped. Okay. The midnight movie was a loop. After each movie was played, it would be repeated after a break. One ticket could watch until dawn. There was no limit to the number of times. This was also because there were few people watching the midnight movie. The cinema used this trick to attract young couples. If a movie was played multiple times, even if some couples missed the plot, they could continue to watch the next scene to make up for the missing plot of the previous scene. The lights of the cinema were on. Gu Xinyao and Bai Hai obviously didn't mean to leave. Bai Hai stood up and glanced at the couple's booth on Yang Ming's side. Then, he said, "Brother Yang, I'm going to buy some melon seeds and potato chips." "I don't like to eat those." "Ask Xiaolu." Yang Ming was not interested in these snacks. He didn't know if Jing Xiaolu liked to eat them. "Buy me a box of potato chips." Jing Xiaolu thought about it and said, "And a bottle of drink." Bai Hai nodded and quickly ran to buy food. Obviously, Gu Xinyao also wanted to eat snacks. Before Bai Hai came back, the movie theater's lights were dimmed again. This short light was actually to illuminate those who were leaving the theater. However, the people in the movie theater probably knew that there were fewer people leaving the theater at night, so a few minutes of light was enough. However, the movie didn't open, but some advertisements and new movie previews were played. The 2009 Chinese fantasy blockbuster, Magical Glasses, based on the novel of the same name by the famous online author, Fishman 2, is starring Shuya. This was a new movie trailer, indicating some upcoming movies. The cinema would play some similar trailers during the intermission, so that it could also cultivate some potential audiences. In particular, this movie was the debut of the superstar, Shuya, so the selling point was even stronger. Shuya's fans would definitely not miss it after seeing it. Originally, Yang Ming wanted to continue to talk to Jing Xiaolu about Elder Yu and the behind-the-scenes boss. But after hearing Shuya's name, Yang Ming immediately raised his head subconsciously and stared at the movie screen. Jing Xiaolu was a little surprised. Yang Ming spoke halfway. She was waiting for Yang Ming to continue, but he suddenly stopped. She looked at Yang Ming again, and his eyes were staring straight at the movie screen in front of him. Jing Xiaolu also looked at the movie screen curiously. Shuya's movie? Jing Xiaolu was also a very fashionable girl. Naturally, she had heard Shuya's songs and had a good impression of this celebrity. Seeing Yang Ming staring at the movie trailer, Jing Xiaolu felt a little funny. "It turns out that you are still a fan of Shuya. And she is very similar to my first girlfriend." Yang Ming smiled noncommittally. "Oh? Your first girlfriend?" Jing Xiaolu was slightly stunned after listening. However, the distance between Shuya and you is too far. If you want to catch up with her, it will be a bit difficult. Hee, if there is a chance, let's watch this movie. Yang Ming usually didn't like to watch movies, but because Shuya was in this movie, Yang Ming would take the initiative to watch it. However, Shuya's movie. When did she shoot it? Why don't I know? As a matter of fact, I haven't been separated from Shuya for long. Is it a new contract signed? It should be. I've been busy in Africa for a while. My phone definitely can't be contacted. Shuya wants to tell me, but she can't find me. Okay, let's go together then. I also like Shuya. Jing Xiaolu nodded. Yang Ming was a little amused. He just said that he would watch this movie when he had the chance, but Jing Xiaolu volunteered. Ice Age started again. Jing Xiaolu had seen it before, so there was no need to watch it again. So, she said to Yang Ming, well, continue to talk about the mysterious boss. Let's talk about it. I'm done talking. These are the 3 most formal encounters with the mysterious boss. Yang Ming said. That's it? Jing Xiaolu was a little disappointed. If it's just these, it's difficult to figure it out. How much do you think there is? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. If I had a clue, I wouldn't be complaining to you here. I would have gone to find the behind-the-scenes boss. However, even if the behind-the-scenes boss can't be found, can't Elder Yu be found? Jing Xiaolu asked, after finding Elder Yu, can't you know the true identity of the mysterious behind-the-scenes boss? How can it be so easy to find Elder Yu? Yang Ming said, Lan Ling's family is much stronger than me, but they don't dare to face him head-on. You can imagine how terrifying Elder Yu is. It's not that I'm afraid of him, but I really can't deal with his tricks. I don't know anything about voodoo. Moreover, it's hard to say whether Elder Yu is still in Songjiang. After Chen Afu's accident, his identity has been exposed. Besides me, even the police are looking for him. Of course, he has to hide. In fact, it was not the police who were looking for Elder Yu, but the people of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, which was Xia Shui's brother, Xia Bingbao. As a member of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, Ong Ming naturally had the obligation and responsibility to assist Xia Bingbao in finding Elder Yu. But this identity couldn't be told to Jing Xiaolu. After all, this institution was a confidential institution, and it was not known to ordinary people. So that's the case. Jing Xiaolu understood after listening to Yang Ming's words. No matter how powerful he is, it is impossible to go against the entire Songjiang police. Choosing to hide is a wise move. Yeah, since that time, I haven't received any news about Elder Yu. It seems that he is really hiding. Yang Ming nodded. Right, you seem to have something troubling you today. Is it related to Elder Yu or the mysterious boss? Asked Jing Xiaolu. Yang Ming was indeed troubled by the Sun family. He had just instigated the Sui family to be enemies with Tianlong, but he didn't expect that when Yang Ming just left the Sui family's group in Mount Jing, Sui Yuejin was assassinated by an unknown person. Yang Ming, who had just had a plan, was caught off guard again. His previous idea could only be ruined. How could Yang Ming not be troubled? It should be the incident caused by the behind-the-scenes boss. Yang Ming didn't need to hide this matter from Jing Xiaolu. Although Jing Xiaolu was giggling, she was a little think tank. Lu Xinyang was not around, so he could ask Jing Xiaolu to see if she had any good ideas. What happened? Asked Jing Xiaolu. This is the case. The company's incident this time should be planned by the behind-the-scenes boss. Yang Ming thought about it and said. Ah. Jing Xiaolu was stunned. She didn't think that the company's incident this time would be related to the mysterious behind-the-scenes boss. Could it be that Lu Chan and Chu Daming are controlled by the behind-the-scenes boss? You can say that. Yang Ming nodded. I don't know why these 2 people would rely on the behind-the-scenes boss, but this time, there is an 80% chance that the behind-the-scenes boss is involved. It can't be, right? Jing Xiaolu was a little puzzled. According to what happened before, every time the behind-the-scenes boss fought with you, he would be very generous. He would either find someone to kill you or create a super big trouble to make you bankrupt. But this time, the company's accounts have been cleared. Although the amount is relatively large, it is not serious. If the behind-the-scenes boss planned it, then it is a bit too petty. It also feels like making a mountain out of a molehill. Yang Ming nodded approvingly. Jing Xiaolu is wise. She immediately felt that the matter was unusual. It was the same feeling that I had at the beginning. The behind-the-scenes boss made such a big fuss just to make such an incident. It's simply, however, after Yang Ming contacted the escape route of the two people and obtained Sui Yuejin's confession, he understood that Lu Chan and Chu Daming were just two small characters with blurred vision. Tian Long and Sui Yuejin were the main characters of the conspiracy. Of course, the two of them are just small characters. Yang Ming said, the whole thing is actually very complicated. It involves two very powerful figures in Donghai and Mount Jing. Donghai? Mount Jing? Jing Xiaolu repeated Yang Ming's words, but she didn't ask much. She sat there quietly and waited for Yang Ming to continue. Yes, Donghai and Mount Jing. Yang Ming said, Donghai's Tian family and Mount Jing's Sui family. I don't know if you have heard of them. They are two big families. They are very powerful in the local area. Tian family? I have some impression of them. Jing Xiaolu used to be a delinquent girl. Naturally, she was more interested in these things. It was not surprising that she had heard of them, but Mount Jing had been separated from the province, so Jing Xiaolu was relatively unfamiliar with them. Chapter 1247. The Tian family has always been serving the Sun family, but this time, he betrayed his master, the Sun family, and put the Sun family's people under house arrest. Yang Ming said, and he bribed many of the original Sun family's underlings to control the Sun family's industry. Yang Ming told Jing Xiaolu about the news he got from Sui Yuejin, his own inference, and his brotherhood with Tian Donghua. When he talked about Tian Donghua, Yang Ming's heart tightened for no reason. I don't know how Tian Donghua is doing. Such a brother is a real brother. He distinguishes between good and evil. He won't hide and obey when the other party is his father. He will stand up bravely to blame. No matter what the result is, Yang Ming is very grateful to him. Bribe with a lot of money? Jing Xiaolu sighed. No matter which industry, there are always some greedy people who betray. This reminds me of the Young and Dangerous movie I watched before. Shanji took a box of money from Taiwan and easily bribed the underlings of the person named Brother Kuan. Jing Xiaolu was telling the truth. People die for money, and birds die for food. Under heavy profits, there must be people who dared to take risks. It couldn't be said that these people were wrong, but human nature was like this. Yang Ming couldn't control other people's thoughts. This is true, but how can we solve this as soon as possible? Yang Ming said, I don't know where the Sun family is being held. For Tian Long, we can't act rashly. Who knows if he has a backup plan? It's not advisable to trouble Tian Long directly. Jing Xiaolu shook her head. The risk factor is too high. If he has some kind of tacit understanding with the people guarding the Sun family, as long as he is in danger, the people on the other side will harm the Sun family's people or take the Sun family's people as hostages. Then, it will be troublesome. It will be self-defeating. Yang Ming nodded. What Jing Xiaolu said, wasn't it what he was afraid of? From the previous contact, Tian Long didn't seem to be a reckless man. On the contrary, he was very shrewd. Especially with the mysterious boss behind him, Yang Ming didn't dare to act rashly. However, I have a feasible way, but it can only solve the urgent situation. It can't solve the root cause. Jing Xiaolu thought for a while and said with some regret. What way? Hearing that Jing Xiaolu had a way so quickly, Yang Ming was a little surprised. You thought of a way? This can only be the only way out. Jing Xiaolu said Tian Donghua's underlings. In other words, since Tian Long can buy the Sun family's underlings, it means that these underlings are greedy people. As long as you offer a higher price, they will naturally be bought again as long as you offer a higher price higher offer. Take away Tian Long's power. In this way, Tian Long's orders can't be carried out. His conspiracy and plan will be self-defeating. However, this plan requires a lot of money, and the time and cycle may be longer. After all, you have to buy them one by one through Tianlong's underlings. As long as you start, the person who is bought will help you to buy other people. This is a way. Yang Ming fell into contemplation after listening to Jing Xiaolu's words. Indeed, what Jing Xiaolu said was a way out, but it was indeed the most feasible way at the moment. However, the Sun family's underlings were bought over and over again. Although they could take back the power from Tianlong this time, what about in the future? There was no guarantee that these people would not be bribed again. Jing Xiaolu probably thought of the same problem. Seeing Yang Ming frowning, she said, "Are you also thinking about what to do if these people are bought over again in the future?" "How do you know?" Yang Ming was slightly stunned. This Jing Xiaolu was quite smart. "That's why I said that this is a way out. It treats the symptoms but not the root cause." Jing Xiaolu was also very distressed. If it is like in wuxia novels, you can give these underlings a 3-carrion brain magic pill, and they won't dare to mess around. 3-carrion brain magic pill? The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener meant it. Jing Xiaolu was probably just joking, but Yang Ming thought of a very important thing, which was voodoo. Yang Ming didn't know what the 3-carrion brain magic pill was, but according to the introduction in TV series or novels, this should be something similar to voodoo. After eating it, the voodoo would lurk in the body. If the drug to suppress the toxicity was not taken regularly, then the poison would kill the person. Yang Ming remembered that Lan Ling seemed to have said that voodoo had a similar effect. Moreover, I have Zhang Jishan by my side. Thinking of this, Yang Ming suddenly had a wonderful idea. However, this was also because of Jing Xiaolu's inspiration. If these voodoo were given to Tianlong's underlings, they probably wouldn't dare to be disloyal even if they were beaten to death. This was also a way to get it done once and for all, so that they wouldn't dare to betray him casually in the future. It also saved a lot of trouble for the Sun family. "Xiaolu, thank you for reminding me. I really thought of an idea." Yang Ming thought of this and was suddenly a little excited. Although Yang Ming could completely coerce the Sun family's underlings, and even hit their acupoints to make them suffer a fate worse than death, this could only be temporary. However, this could only be limited for a while, not for a lifetime. Once Yang Ming left, it was hard to guarantee that they would not be disloyal again. However, if they were given voodoo, how would they dare to have any other thoughts without the antidote? "Thank me? Thank me for what?" Jing Xiaolu was stunned by Yang Ming's words. "My suggestion is not very mature. In other words, it is quite troublesome to implement it. Not everyone can be bought over a second time. I'm not referring to this." Yang Ming smiled and shook his head. "I'm talking about the 3-carrion brain divine pill." 3-carrion brain divine pill? Jing Xiaolu was stunned. This kind of thing is just in the novel. How can it be real? Otherwise, will you make this? "I won't, but someone will make something similar." Yang Ming said, "Don't you remember what I told you before? Lan Ling's family is a family of voodoo. They are best at using voodoo. The 3-carrion brain divine pill that you mentioned should be similar to voodoo. When the time comes to make some medicine, you don't need to spend money. Just force it on those people. They won't dare to stand on the wrong side." "Right." Jing Xiaolu was very happy to hear what Yang Ming said. "How could I forget this? I also read a novel about voodoo by Wesley. It said that there is a voodoo that can prevent others from betraying. As long as they betray, they will explode and die. I don't know if there is really such a voodoo. If there is, then the matter is easy to solve. I don't know whether there is a voodoo specifically, but there must be a slow-acting voodoo. Every once in a while, it needs an antidote to suppress it. Once the antidote is not taken on time, then the voodoo will attack and die," said Yang Ming. "This is also possible." Jing Xiaolu nodded and said, "If I knew you had this kind of convenience, I wouldn't have to think so hard. If you give them the medicine, let's see who dares to listen to Tianlong. Then, Tianlong will become a commander without an army. Everyone will betray him, haha. Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming guessed correctly. Tianlong was not a fool. After learning that Tian Donghua had informed Yang Ming, Tianlong became more cautious. Little Wang, come in. Tianlong pressed the intercom system on the desk and said to the person outside. Not long after, there was a knock on the door of Tianlong's office. Please come in, said Tianlong. Little Wang pushed open the door of the office and walked in. This Little Wang was not someone else. He was Sun Hongjuan's driver and the mole that Tianlong had placed beside Sun Hongjuan. In general, the people around the boss were very difficult to bribe because the boss treated them well. So, if Tianlong wanted to bribe them directly, it was likely to backfire and expose his purpose. Therefore, Tianlong directly arranged for Sun Hongjuan's closest driver and bodyguard to be one of his people, Xiao Wang. In this way, once Tianlong made trouble, Xiao Wang could coordinate with him from the inside and quickly help him seize power. Moreover, Jing Xiaolu was right. It was obviously very difficult to bribe Little Wang a second time. Little Wang was originally one of Tianlong's people. He had betrayed Sun Hongjun once, so it was impossible for him to betray Tianlong again. If Yang Ming tried to bribe Little Wang and failed, then it would be difficult to back down. If he killed Little Wang, it would alert Tianlong, and the bribe plan would be ruined. If he did not kill Little Wang would still tell Tianlong about him trying to bribe people. The plan would still be ruined, so the bribe plan would not work. President Tian, are you looking for me? Asked Little Wang respectfully. You find time to go to the place where the Sun family is being held and tell the person in charge there, Zhang Jinghua, that if you or I don't contact them for a day, let them kill the hostages. Tianlong hesitated for a while and ordered faintly. Tianlong was also afraid that Yang Ming would come over with some tricks, so he had to prepare in advance. If the Sun family had the help of Yang Ming's forces in Songjiang, then it was not impossible to regain power. Therefore, in the face of morality and interests, Tianlong could only violate his promise and kill the Sun family's people. He would not allow any changes to happen. Everything he had now was not easy to come by. He would not allow these things to be lost from his hands again. Therefore, Tianlong had to take precautions in advance. Once Yang Ming really brought people over, he must get rid of the Sun family. In this way, the original subordinates of the Sun family could be completely loyal to him and would not change sides because of the Sun family's reappearance. Chapter 1248. Yes. Little Wang's face moved slightly, but he still agreed. Although he was trained by Tianlong, he had been with Sun Hongjun for so many years. Even if there were no feelings, he had developed feelings for Sun Hongjun. What's more, Sun Hongjun treated him well. Now that he was asked to convey such an order, Little Wang's heart was still very uncomfortable. However, so what if he was uncomfortable? It couldn't be helped even if he was uncomfortable. His fate was like this. He had no way to resist. Help me take a look at Donghua. See how he is now. Tianlong said this, and his expression was a little sad. After all, Tian Donghua was his son. He was now under house arrest, and he felt uncomfortable in his heart. However, Tianlong had no way to visit Tian Donghua. At this time, he couldn't see him. Only when the overall situation stabilized, when he completely took over the Sun family's business, and when Yang Ming was no longer a threat, he would release Tian Donghua. He hoped that Tian Donghua could understand his painstaking efforts. Although Tianlong was not afraid of Yang Ming, from the brief contact at the resort, Tianlong felt that Yang Ming was not as simple as a student. Especially after knowing that the behind-the-scenes boss wanted to deal with Yang Ming, Tianlong felt that Yang Ming was not an ordinary person. It was precisely because of this that Tianlong was so cautious. Otherwise, Tian Long really wouldn't put a college student in his eyes. After receiving Tian Long's instructions, Little Wang hurriedly left the current temporary villa and rushed to the abandoned garbage collection site. As the hero of this incident, Little Wang was, of course, one of Tian Long's most trusted people. Tian Long assigned him to do a lot of things. The entire plan of this mission was not hidden from Little Wang. Many of them were personally operated by Little Wang. Because Tian Long believed that Little Wang would never betray him. Yes, Little Wang could not betray because Little Wang's parents were under Tian Long's supervision. If he dared to betray, Tian Long would kill his parents without hesitation. The moment he betrayed Sun Hongjun, Little Wang's feelings were complicated. He even thought of killing himself, but he couldn't die. He knew that once he died, his elderly parents wouldn't have a good ending. Even if Tian Long didn't do anything to them, as their only son, they would be heartbroken to death if he died. Therefore, Little Wang had to stay alive and do his job well. He was Tian Long's chess piece and would never be able to escape. Although he had gained Tian Long's trust now, just like when he was by Sun Hongjuan's side in the past, his position had not changed and he was still playing the same role. However, Xiao Wang felt a deep sense of guilt in his heart. There was no other way. He would never be able to repay Sun Hongjuan's apology in this lifetime. He always hoped that the car would arrive a little slower, but they soon arrived at the abandoned junkyard, the place where the Sun family and Tian Donghua were under house arrest. The person in charge here was Zhang Jinghua, a brother who trained with Little Wang. Now, he had become Tian Long's right-hand man. However, his status was not as high as Little Wang. Little Wang was now Tian Long's spokesperson. What he said also represented Tian Long's meaning, so Zhang Jinghua did not dare to neglect. "Brother Wang, you're here?" Zhang Jinghua greeted him with a smile. "Do you have any instructions?" Little Wang sighed and said faintly, "Let's talk inside." Although this was an abandoned junkyard, the rooms were still very good. Zhang Jinghua's office was like this, and the rooms where the Sun family and Tian Donghua were under house arrest were also good. President Tian gave a new order. After entering the office and closing the door, Little Wang said to Zhang Jinghua, "President Tian and I will contact you every day. Once there is a day when neither of us has contacted you, kill the Sun family, I understand." Zhang Jinghua had no feelings for the Sun family, so when Little Wang said that, he agreed. "Let President Tian rest assured. I will handle this matter well. And, this way, before you kill them, call me or President Tian first. If you really can't get through, then do it." Little Wang was also afraid that he or Tian Long would forget to call because they were too busy. Then, wouldn't the Sun family die in vain? In Little Wang's heart, he did not want anything to happen to the Sun family, so he added another sentence. "Okay, I will remember." Zhang Jinghua naturally did not know if this was said by Tian Long or Little Wang, but since it was said by Little Wang, it meant that it was said by Tian Long. Zhang Jinghua naturally agreed. Little Wang nodded and said, "How is young Master Tian?" "AI." Speaking of Tian Donghua, Zhang Jinghua was a little worried, and his brows were locked up. Since young Master Tian was locked here, he did not eat or drink. When I talked to him, he ignored me. It has been a long time, and he has not eaten anything. At that time, Little Wang also heard the argument between Tian Donghua and Tian Long behind the scenes. For Tian Donghua's mood, Little Wang could naturally understand. For friends and justice, Tian Donghua was determined to fall out with his father. How much determination and courage did this require? Therefore, from the bottom of his heart, Little Wang admired Tian Donghua. At least he dared to fight. However, admiration did not affect Little Wang. Because of Tian Donghua's special identity, Tian Long could not do anything to Tian Donghua. In any case, Tian Donghua was Tian Long's son. This could not be changed. But Little Wang was different. Little Wang could only accept the arrangement of fate. "I will go and see him." Little Wang and Tian Donghua were still familiar. Little Wang used to drive him to and from school. At that time, the most trusted person around Sun Hongjun was Tian Long, so Tian Long could also order Little Wang to do something. Naturally, Little Wang was also familiar with Tian Donghua. When he came to the door of Tian Donghua's room, Zhang Jingguo waved his hand, and one of his men opened the door of the room. Tian Donghua was lying on the bed at the moment. When someone came in, he didn't look because he knew that even if he opened the door and let him run, he couldn't run away. His father's men were all around. How far could he run? He was afraid that he would be caught before he could run out. Therefore, Tian Donghua was too lazy to do those laborious and useless things. Donghua, why don't you eat? Little Wang walked in, sat on Tian Donghua's bed, and asked kindly. Tian Donghua heard Little Wang's voice, turned his head, and glanced at him. Then, he lay flat on the bed and asked, "What are you doing here?" "President Tian, your father asked me to come and see you." Little Wang sighed. "Donghua, you can't not eat. Your body is your own. If you are hungry, you will suffer. It turns out that my dad sent you to be a lobbyist." When Tian Donghua spoke, he didn't have any expression. "However, you tell him that he can't change my mind. I don't want to participate in your affairs, but for my affairs, the friendship between me and my friends, I hope you don't meddle in it. You go back and tell my dad to behave himself." Little Wang could only smile bitterly after listening to Tian Donghua's words. Behave himself? Of course, he couldn't tell Tian Long otherwise. Wouldn't Tian Long be furious? However, in front of Tian Donghua, Little Wang still said, "Okay, I will try my best." Tian Donghua glanced at Little Wang and seemed to want to judge whether what he said was true or not. However, his eyes were very dull, so Little Wang didn't understand the meaning. "You go. I am hungry. I will eat, but I am in a bad mood now. I don't want to eat. I don't need to be angry with such a father. You know what I mean. Okay, if you can eat, then I am relieved." Little Wang nodded. Tian Donghua had already ordered him to leave, so he didn't need to continue to stay here. Little Wang came here to let Tian Donghua eat. He didn't think about anything else. Tian Donghua was safe and sound, so he completed the task given by Tian Long out of Tian Donghua's room. Zhang Jingguo asked people to lock the room. Little Wang walked along the corridor to the door. After passing by the room where the Sun family was under house arrest, Little Wang paused slightly, but then he quickened his pace and left quickly. Little Wang wanted to see Sun Hongjuan's family, but if he really saw them, Little Wang didn't know what to say. It was better not to see them than to be embarrassed. Zhang Jingguo also roughly understood Little Wang's thoughts. He was familiar with Little Wang's experience over the years. Seeing that Little Wang was a little sad, Zhang Jingguo patted Little Wang's shoulder to comfort him. Little Wang nodded. He could understand Zhang Jingguo's meaning. People like them could only let fate choose them, and they had no right to change their fate. "Xiaolu, brother Yang?" Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu were talking when they suddenly heard Gu Ximiao's voice. When they looked up, Gu Ximiao was looking over from the booth next to them. "What's wrong, Sister Ximiao?" Jing Xiaolu turned and asked. "Bai Hai has been gone for a long time. Why hasn't he come back yet?" Gu Ximiao was a little worried. "Why don't you accompany me to take a look?" "Ah." Jing Xiaolu looked at the movie that had been playing for a long time and realized that Bai Hai had been gone for a while. It stood to reason that he should have come back long ago. "Let's go together. It just so happens that the movie is almost over. Let's find Bai Hai and go together." Yang Ming listened to Gu Ximiao's words and stood up. Jing Xiaolu already felt happy enough tonight. She had dinner and watched movies with Yang Ming. The most important thing was that she knew a lot of Yang Ming's secrets. She could also help Yang Ming with strategizing. This was the most exciting thing. Jing Xiaolu's goal was to be a woman who was helpful to Yang Ming, not a vase. Only in this way could Yang Ming rely on her. Once there was a day, Yang Ming might be surprised to find that he could no longer leave Jing Xiaolu. Chapter 1249. This was Jing Xiaolu's plan. A simple chase was simply useless. Jing Xiaolu also planned to give up. Even if she dressed up and hung around Yang Ming all day long, Yang Ming would not be interested in her. If she could be by Yang Ming's side and give him advice, she would be a woman who was really useful to Yang Ming. This way, the chances of winning would be greater. Therefore, for Jing Xiaolu, today's harvest was enough. There was no need to continue to pester Yang Ming. The most important thing now was to let Yang Ming do the business. Only when the matter was solved, then Yang Ming would have the mood to do other things. More importantly, if Yang Ming successfully solved the Sun family's matter this time, then Jing Xiaolu would definitely have a part in it. As a result, she would have a legitimate reason to ask for credit. It would not be a problem to ask Yang Ming to treat her to a meal. Yang Ming, Jing Xiaolu, and Gu Xinyao walked to the exit of the cinema together. At the bathroom door not far away, they saw Bai Hai. At the moment, he was being pestered by a girl, claiming that Bai Hai should be responsible. This kind of scene made Yang Ming, Jing Xiaolu, and especially Gu Xinyao a little unprepared. Gu Xinyao's face was a little pale at the time. She had a relationship with Bai Hai's boss, Wu Tian. This was a shame in Bai Hai's heart. Although he did not mention it later, Gu Xinyao knew that Bai Hai would definitely feel uncomfortable. Therefore, Gu Xinyao was always afraid that Bai Hai would not want her, especially when Bai Hai was getting better and better. Gu Xinyao was even more afraid that Bai Hai would look for other women behind her back, so she watched Bai Hai closely. Fortunately, Gu Xinyao knew that if she wanted to keep her position, she could only start with Yang Ming. As long as Yang Ming looked after her, she was not afraid that Bai Hai would have any tricks up his sleeve. Therefore, Gu Xinyao always maintained a good relationship with Lin Jiyun and maintained a good relationship with Lin Jiyun. Now that she had a stronger relationship with Jing Xiaolu, Gu Xinyao was not afraid that Bai Hai would have crooked thoughts. Just as he was feeling smug, he didn't expect to see such a scene. Another woman actually ran over, grabbed Bai Hai, and made him take responsibility. Without thinking, he knew what was going on. That was why Gu Xinyao's face was so ugly. Although Gu Xinyao was very angry, she couldn't lose her temper in front of Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu. She could only desperately endure it. Even though tears were rolling in her eyes, Gu Xinyao didn't argue with Bai Hai. Jing Xiaolu also heard this sentence, but she was much more rational than Gu Xinyao. Jing Xiaolu carefully looked at Bai Hai's expression, and then looked at the expression of the girl who grabbed Bai Hai. Jing Xiaolu had some doubts. Sister Xinyao, don't think so much. Things may not be so complicated. No one dared to talk to him like this, but Yang Ming was on the side. He didn't know what Yang Ming's attitude was, so Bai Hai didn't dare to use violence to solve the problem easily. After all, his identity now was not the little punk of the past. My boyfriend is from the newspaper. The girl said, I see that you are also a person of status. You don't want to be in the newspaper because of a hooligan, right? When Yang Ming saw this, he didn't need to watch anymore. He was sure that Jing Xiaolu was right. This girl just wanted to extort some money from Bai Hai. Gu Xinyao couldn't watch it anymore. She knew that Bai Hai didn't find a woman outside, but he was being extorted. She couldn't help it, but Yang Ming didn't speak, so Gu Xinyao didn't dare to make a decision. Do you know him? Yang Ming smiled and walked forward at this time. He asked the girl who was yelling. I don't know him. Of course, I don't know him. How can I know this hooligan? The girl snorted. Oh, since you don't know him, why do you say that he is a hooligan? Yang Ming continued to ask. He went to the women's bathroom to take off his pants. If he isn't a hooligan, then what is? The girl frowned. This has nothing to do with you. What are you doing? I am his friend. Even if you want compensation for mental damage, you have to ask me. His money is in my hands. Yang Ming said faintly. Then you can give it to me. The girl reluctantly continued to talk to Yang Ming. Yang Ming's words made Bai Hai, Jing Xiaolu, and Gu Xinyao somewhat inexplicable. They didn't know why Yang Ming interfered. Then what evidence do you have to prove that he went to the women's bathroom to take off his pants? Yang Ming continued to ask. Why? Do you want to deny it? The girl suddenly became anxious. The other party had many people. At this time, if she denied it, then no one could testify. I'm asking if you have evidence. Yang Ming frowned and interrupted the girl's words. Everything must be based on evidence. If you don't have evidence, then there is no need to talk about compensation for mental damage. Evidence. The girl hurriedly said, of course there is. I saw his underwear. His underwear is blue plaid. Moreover, there is a birthmark on his left but that is half the size of an egg. Bai Hai's face suddenly turned red, but Gu Xinyao glared at Bai Hai with resentment. Peeing and showing off your butt, isn't this showing off? Oh. Yang Ming nodded, but he did not express any doubts. Instead, he continued to ask, then do you know me? The girl didn't know what Yang Ming meant, so she shook her head and said, I don't know you. Well, since you and I don't know each other, then I'll say that I saw you taking off your pants in the men's restroom. Then, are you also being a hooligan to me? Yang Ming asked faintly. You. The girl suddenly became annoyed. Are you trying to be a hooligan? When did I go to the men's bathroom? Not only did the girl have a strong reaction, but Jing Xiaolu and Gu Xinyao also widened their eyes. They didn't know why Yang Ming said this. Isn't this being a hooligan? Don't be noisy. If I say so, of course, there is evidence. Yang Ming frowned. You are wearing pink underwear with an open crotch. There is a green bow on it. Oh, yes, you don't have a birthmark on your left butt, but there is a big boil. Ah. The girl was still a little disdainful at first, but when Yang Ming finished speaking, she was completely petrified at the moment. She opened her mouth wide and looked at Yang Ming in horror. She pointed at Yang Ming and couldn't speak. After she met Bai Hai in the bathroom, she didn't go to the bathroom, so Yang Ming was completely impossible to see what underwear she was wearing. Not to mention the big boil. The big boil was just yesterday, but the person in front of her said it accurately. She only had one thought at the moment, and that was that she encountered a ghost. Otherwise, how could it be so weird? She glanced at Yang Ming and looked at Bai Hai again. The girl simply ran away. Such a supernatural thing actually happened next to the dark bathroom in the cinema. It was a bit like Zhang Zhen's story. She left just like that? Did you guess it right? Jing Xiaolu looked suspiciously at the direction where the girl fled. She was a little confused. They weren't very clear about the true identity of Yang Ming, but they knew that Yang Ming was a person who was about the same level as Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan. He also had a large number of shares in the group. The president of the hotel, Guo Jianchao, was very respectful to Yang Ming. Before he had a part-time job as the vice president of Ming Yang Entertainment, he was in charge of the hotel. Every time Yang Ming came, he would personally greet him. Not long after Jing Xiaolu entered the group, she was promoted to the position of assistant to the general manager. It was rumored that it was because she had an unusual relationship with Yang Ming. There were rumors in the group that Jing Xiaolu was Yang Ming's lover, but rumors were just rumors. They had not been confirmed. However, seeing Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu appear here together so late at night, the lobby manager was sure that the rumors were not groundless. Mr. Yang, you are here too. Should I inform President Guo? The lobby manager quickly stepped forward and asked. Guo Jianchao had given him an order before. As long as Yang Ming came, he must call him to inform him. However, Yang Ming didn't seem to like this kind of show, but the lobby manager couldn't offend both sides, so he could only ask Yang Ming to see his opinion. If Yang Ming was unwilling, then the lobby manager could evade Guo Jianchao. He could just say that it was Yang Ming's opinion. No need. Yang Ming waved his hand. It's so late. Why should I call him? Especially on this special day, Guo Jianchao must still be settling accounts in the group, so looking for Guo Jianchao was equivalent to giving him trouble. Yang Ming wouldn't do this. Give me a room, and then you can go and do your work. Yang Ming told the lobby manager. Okay, Mr. Yang, you and Assistant Jing will stay in the penthouse suite reserved for you. The lobby manager said. Ah. Yang Ming was slightly stunned. He immediately understood that the lobby manager had misunderstood. Obviously, he thought that Yang Ming wanted to stay with Jing Xiaolu. However, if Yang Ming asked him to change it to an ordinary room, it would be inappropriate to say it now. It would seem that Yang Ming was deliberately stingy and didn't give Jing Xiaolu a good room. Yang Ming could only acquiesce. Then the penthouse suite. Although the hotel had been renovated, the penthouse suite didn't need to be renovated. Originally, it was luxurious enough. It was Wang Shifan who came to enjoy himself. After Yang Ming got it, the room belonged to Yang Ming. Usually, when Yang Ming wasn't there, it wasn't open. Okay, I will prepare it now. The lobby manager nodded quickly and called the waiter to be busy cleaning up the room. As for Jing Xiaolu, she was even more proud. She could naturally feel that the lobby manager had misunderstood the relationship between her and Yang Ming, but she didn't mind continuing to misunderstand. No one else stayed in the suite upstairs, and the waiter would clean and wipe it every day. So, at this time, the bed sheets were just laid out and the toiletries were placed. Therefore, after a few minutes, the room was ready. The lobby manager wanted to send Yang Ming up, but Yang Ming waved his hand and refused. He went to the internal elevator with Jing Xiaolu. It was the first time for Jing Xiaolu to stay in such a luxurious room. Although she was also a member of the group, she only knew that there was such a luxurious private suite in the hotel today. Obviously, this was not open to the public. She only stayed in the more luxurious presidential suite when she came down with Guo Jianchao and other senior executives of the group to inspect the hotel. So obviously, this was Yang Ming's private room. Others couldn't stay in it. However, with this, the next time Jing Xiaolu came here, needless to say, the lobby manager would let Jing Xiaolu stay directly in Yang Ming's suite on the top floor. Jing Xiaolu felt a little excited when she thought about it. In that case, she would be envied by others. I'm staying here at night? Looking at the private pool in the room, Jing Xiaolu was so shocked that she didn't know what to do. Isn't this a bit too luxurious? I have never stayed in it before. If you don't stay here, where will you stay? Yang Ming glared at Jing Xiaolu. Don't take it for granted. You play by yourself. I'm going to meet someone. Yang Ming hesitated as he said this. Is it okay for me to meet Victoria at this time? If it was seen by Alice, it would be a little bad. So, Yang Ming waited and decided to let Victoria go upstairs. Moreover, there was a computer and everything on the upper floor. It was more convenient than downstairs. There was no need to worry about talking. Thinking of this, Yang Ming said to Jing Xiaolu, I will ask my friend to come up. You can also analyze it later. Okay. Jing Xiaolu could get along with Yang Ming for a while, so she naturally agreed. Moreover, Jing Xiaolu was very happy that Yang Ming valued her. Yang Ming nodded and dialed Victoria's phone number. I'm Yang Ming. You come out of the room now, then go downstairs. Go to the first floor and find the lobby manager. Ask him to bring you to me. Yang Ming instructed Victoria. Yes, Mr. Yang. Victoria did not ask much and responded directly. After Victoria hung up the phone, she took the digital camera out of the room, went downstairs, and came to the service desk. Is the lobby manager here? Please wait a moment. The waiter at the front desk naturally knew that Victoria was arranged to stay in the hotel by Yang Ming. Her identity was not ordinary, so he did not dare to neglect and quickly called the lobby manager. The lobby manager then came out and saw Victoria. Miss, is there anything I can help you with? Mr. Yang asked you to take me to him. Victoria was not polite and said concisely. Okay. The lobby manager also knew that Victoria was brought by Yang Ming, so he immediately agreed. Please come with me. The lobby manager took Victoria to the elevator and came to the suite on the top floor where Yang Ming was. However, the suite had an intercom system from the outside. The lobby manager pressed the intercom system. He still had to confirm whether Yang Ming let Victoria come up. Mr. Yang, Ms. Victoria said that you are looking for her. She is now at the door, said the lobby manager. Let her come in. The door is not locked, said Yang Ming. Okay. After the lobby manager finished talking to Yang Ming, he made a gesture to Victoria. Please come in, Miss Victoria. After Victoria entered, the lobby manager retreated silently. He was not qualified to enter this room. However, the lobby manager was secretly envious. Yang Ming actually had two beautiful women accompanying him in one night. Victoria entered the room and saw Yang Ming and Jing Xiaolu beside him. She was slightly stunned. Victoria had never seen Jing Xiaolu, so she subconsciously thought that she was Yang Ming's woman, which was the person she would protect in the future. Mr. Yang. Victoria hesitated. Although she guessed the relationship between Jing Xiaolu and Yang Ming, she didn't know if she could say what she wanted to say in front of Jing Xiaolu. This is Jing Xiaolu. She is also one of us. You can say it. Yang Ming made a gesture to Victoria and then said to Jing Xiaolu, this is Victoria. Miss Jing, hello. Victoria nodded to Jing Xiaolu and said, Mr. Yang, I have taken the photo. It is in the memory card of this camera. Xiaolu, you go and take the notebook on the table over there. Come and look at it together. Yang Ming instructed Jing Xiaolu, you're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.